Hello, everyone. A big warm welcome to Crossings, the Seamus Festival series, which is a collaboration between the Center for Modern Indian Studies and Namaste Plus at the University of Göttingen. The film series has received support from the German Academic Exchange Service and ICAS MP, the Marion Tagore International Center of Advanced Studies. I'm Lalit Vachani and I program the film series. Now, as many of you already know, at least those of you who've already attended our sessions, every week we showcase a new film about India. Every Monday, beginning 4 p.m. in Germany, which is around 8:30 p.m. in India, we have a screening discussion between the filmmaker and an academic or a filmmaker or academics, as the case may be, as in today. And today we are very pleased to showcase the seventh screening discussion of the film series around the documentary 18 Feet, which is a documentary about caste and performance. Now, last week we saw a very interesting film by Pankaj Rishi Kumar called Janani's Juliet, which was on theatre, performance and caste. This is sort of continuing in that line, but it's a very different film. 18 Feet, it's a film by Ranjit Kazoor and features the Kerala folk song band Karinthalakkoottam. Now, Ranjit will be in conversation with Dickens Leonard of IIT Delhi and Gajendran Ayutthaya in Göttingen. And this evening, we are also very pleased to welcome a few band members from Karinthalakkoottam. And we're actually going to change the format a little bit for this screening discussion, as in we are going to begin with a performance by the band, who will play a couple of songs for us. So, I'm personally very excited about this new format. But let me start by introducing Ranjit, Lenny, and Gaji, as I know them, introducing the filmmaker and the discussants. So, starting with Ranjit Kazoor, he made his debut as director with this film we are going to see, 18 Feet. And for this film, he won the Kerala State Award for Best Director in documentary in 2015. He also won the Best Editor Award at the Mumbai International Film Festival in 2016. He's a graduate of the SRFTI, the Satyajit Ray Film and Television Institute in Kolkata, and he specialized in film editing. His achievements as an editor include films like Rong Kushak, which won the Best Film Award at the National Students Film Festival, and Kapila, which won the National Award in 2015. His work has been screened widely, nationally and internationally. Let me now move on to introduce our discussants. We're very pleased to have Dickens Leonard and Gajendran Ayutthaya with us to discuss the film. Dickens Leonard is Assistant Professor in Literature at the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at IIT Delhi. And prior to this, he was with the CSSS in Kolkata. He has actually visited us at the Center for Modern Indian Studies in Göttingen as a DARD visiting PhD fellow. And his research is on 19th century Tamil Buddhism. Recently, he received the Fulbright postdoc grant to work on the project titled Ethical Dimensions of Casteless Community. And he has published on anti-caste thought and written about Tamil cinema in several journals and edited volumes. Gajendran Ayutthaya is an anthropologist and a historian based in Göttingen, Germany. Gaji has published on culture, memory, and the history of casteless Tamils and Indians in Tamil, English, and German. His current book project is titled Deep Resistance, Buddhism, Caste, and the Marginalized in Colonial India. And he has initiated a new subfield, critical caste studies, with scholars from India, Europe, and North America. A very warm welcome to Gaji, to Lenny, and to Ranjit. And about the film, I'll leave Ranjit to say more, but broadly, 18 Feet, the name actually symbolizes the prescribed holy distance that Dalit communities had to keep from the upper castes in order to ensure their purity. And the film, of course, focuses on the indigenous Kerala folk song band, Karinthalakkoottam. But to tell us more about the band, let me just pass this over to Ranjit. Thanks, Ranjit. Over to you.
Thank you, Lalit. So this Karinthalakkoottam band is one of the band which popularized the folk songs in Kerala. So they are not just a performing band. They actually work lots of activities to preserve the folk knowledge. So they did lots of workshops and they did lots of activities. So they founded in like 1995, and I'm personally associated with them from 1998. With them with their many works. So today we have a few of the band members to perform two songs. One is Vijish Lal. Vijish Lal is a government employee. He's working in the higher secondary department in Kerala government, working with Kerala government, and he's the lead singer and lead member of the band. And also Vijish Lal. And the other is Mani is there, Srijit is there, Remit. All are part-time. They are workers. They are actually it's not full-time singers. They will do all other works also. So I invite Vijish Lal to start the performance.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. So the first song is a Todi song. It's about singing by the death ceremony. It's the song of Kulay community. Variga, 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 Devame, Devam Teliyade. Surya Janum kai tolunde peyo mudiyal Janum koi harache peyo peyo koi vasungo kanda kadayano kanda kadayano peyo Latana Saila, Adimiriyaita, Latana Saila, Kallari Puma, Janu Konarate, Variga, 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 Devame, Devam Teliyadeva, Variga, Variga, Devam Tagashiyala pole pali parakate, Tagashiyala pole pali parakate, Tagashiyala pole Tadi velam pole nai porate, Tadi velam pole nai porate. Thank you. Next song is Tullapattu from Pulaya community, which performing before the mother goddess after the harvest.
Vijesh, one request. Vijesh, one request. Just try and see if you can move a little further from the microphone, because it's
Okay.
losing the audio. And Felix suggested you might be too close to the mic.
Okay.
Just try and be a little, maybe, might help. Thank you. Please, all yours. Okay, I think we've lost Vijesh and Karinthalakkoottam. We'll wait for them to come to us, but why don't we just proceed with a discussion? They'll join us. Maybe we can come to them later. And I'm going to start with Gajendran here. And I know Gaji had a couple of scenes that he wanted to show us. So, Gaji, it's up to you. When you want the scenes screened, please tell Felix. Otherwise, it's really over to you. Yeah. Vijesh is back with us. Vijesh, maybe we continue with Gaji now, because we lost you. We'll come back to you later. Yes, we'll come back to you for the screen for the performance and a song later on. Let's proceed with Gaji at this stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unmute, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Lalit, for the invitation. It's been a real great pleasure to join you all. And certainly the 18 Feet was a fantastic film. And congratulations to Ranjit. In many ways, I was moved by the movie, and so real and so true to the realities of Kerala and the grassroots level situation. So it's fantastic achievement, Ranjit. Congratulations. I'm going to share some of my thoughts, especially about the film, and then I have some questions to Ranjit. That's how I'm going to proceed. And then maybe what we can do is we can quickly have the first two sequences of film, and then I'll have my comments on Ranjit and on the film and my questions to Ranjit, and I will follow it up with the third sequence could be played, and then I'll continue the discussion with Ranjit and the band. Is that okay?
Yeah, we what we could do is please start now. I just thought that once you show the first couple of sequences,
Yes.
you talk to the band, and then we'll involve Lenny also, and he'll show us something. We can come back. We'll come back to you then. But please start, Gaji. Whenever you want the sequences played, please tell Felix. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now it could be played. Felix, go ahead.
അവഗണിക്കപ്പെട്ട നാടൻ കലയും നാട്ടറിവുകളും നാട്ടു സംഗീതവും പുനരുജ്ജീവിപ്പിക്കുന്ന ഒരു നാട്ടറിവും രംഗാവതരണമാണ് കരിന്തലക്കൂട്ടം. അധ്വാനത്തെ സംഗീതമാക്കി മാറ്റിയ കാർഷിക ജനതയുടെ നന്മകളും നൊമ്പരങ്ങളും ഈ പാട്ടിൽ ജന്മിത്ത കാലത്തെ നിഷ്ഠൂരമായ അടിബദ്ധരായ പോരാട്ടങ്ങളും ഈ പാട്ടുകൾ സർവോപരി ഇവിടുത്തെ മണ്ണിനെയും പുഴകളെയും പ്രകൃതിയെയും മറ്റു മൃഗാദികളെയും സംരക്ഷിച്ച് കാത്തുപോകുന്ന ജൈവ വൈവിധ്യത്തിന്റെ ദർശനങ്ങളുള്ളവയാണ് ഈ നാട്ടറിവ് പാട്ട്. ഇത് എഴുതപ്പെടാത്ത നാട്ടുചരിത്രമാണ്. തോറ്റവന്റെ ഓർമ്മയിലെ സംഗീത ചരിത്രം, തോറ്റവന്റെ കലയും ജീവിത വീക്ഷണവുമാണ് ഈ നാട്ടറിവ് പാട്ടുകൾ. ഇത് നിങ്ങൾ ഓരോരുത്തരും ഏറ്റുവാങ്ങി കരിന്തലക്കൂട്ടം രംഗാവിഷ്കാരത്തിൽ, ഈ പ്രാചീന നൃത്തത്തിൽ നിങ്ങൾ എല്ലാവരും പങ്കാളികളാവും. ഈ താളങ്ങളും ഈ വായ്ത്താരികളും ഈ നാട്ടുവാദ്യങ്ങളും നമ്മുടേതാണ്, നാളെ നമ്മുടേതാണ്.
നിങ്ങൾ ആരംഭിക്കട്ടെ. കറുപ്പ് കരുത്തം നിറഞ്ഞ.
Great. Felix, we have the second sequence also.
പഠിക്കുന്ന കാലത്ത് ഞാൻ ആദ്യമായിട്ട് 9 എനിക്കൊരു എന്താ പറയുക, ഒരു പെൺകുട്ടിനെ ഭയങ്കര ഇഷ്ടമായിരുന്നു. ഇഷ്ടം എന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഞാൻ ഗാനമേളയിൽ, അതായത് 9ാം ക്ലാസ്സിൽ ഗാനമേളയിൽ അതായത് ഡ്രംസ് ഞാൻ വായിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പം അതിലൊരു ഐശ്വര്യ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു കുട്ടി ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ അവൾക്ക് എന്നോട് ഭയങ്കര ഒരു ഇഷ്ടമുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. കാരണം ഞാൻ ചിലപ്പോൾ ഡ്രംസ് വായിക്കണ കാരണമായിരിക്കാം ഭയങ്കര ഇഷ്ടമായിരുന്നു. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ദിവസം ഞാൻ വീടിൻ്റെ ഫ്രണ്ടിൽ ഞാൻ ഇരിക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഇവള് കണ്ടു, വീടിൻ്റെ ഫ്രണ്ടിൽ ഇരിക്കുന്നത് കണ്ടു. പിന്നെ അവിടെ ആരൊക്കെയോ എന്തൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞു. ഇങ്ങനെ ഇതൊരു പറയും കോളനിയിലാണ് എൻ്റെ വീടിന്ന് പറഞ്ഞത്. എൻ്റെ സുഹൃത്തുക്കൾ തന്നെയാണ്. പറയും കോളനിയിലാണ് വീട് എന്നുള്ള സംഭവം പറഞ്ഞേക്കണത്. പിന്നെ അവളെന്നെ മൈൻഡ് ചെയ്യാനും കൂടിയില്ല. അതെന്താന്ന് എനിക്കറിയില്ല, ജാതിയുടെ പ്രശ്നമായിരിക്കാം. പിന്നെ ഇതേപോലെ ഒരു സംഭവം ഉണ്ടായിരിക്കണത് ട്യൂഷന് പഠിക്കുന്ന സമയത്താണ്. ട്യൂഷൻ ക്ലാസ്സിൽ ഞാൻ പഠിക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് പഠിക്കുമ്പോൾ അവിടുത്തെ സാറിനോട് ചോദിച്ചു, നിൻ്റെ വീട് എവിടെ? ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു എൻ്റെ വീട് സെൻറ്റ് ജോസഫ് ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് മീഡിയം സ്കൂളിൻ്റെ അടുത്താണ്. അതെവിടെയായിട്ടാ? അത് വാര്യർ പീടിക കഴിഞ്ഞ് ഇങ്ങോട്ട് വരുമ്പോഴാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ആ സാറെന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, അതായത് അവിടെ നിന്ന് ഇങ്ങോട്ട് വരുമ്പോൾ പറയും കോളനിയിലാണോ? അപ്പം ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു അതെ പറയും കോളനിയിലാണ്. അപ്പം പിന്നെ പിള്ളേരൊക്കെ ചിരി തുടങ്ങി അവിടെ വന്നിട്ട്. കോളനി എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോഴേ പിന്നെ പുറത്തേക്ക് അറിയിട്ട് ട്യൂഷൻ കഴിഞ്ഞ് പുറത്തേക്ക് അറിയിട്ട് ഈ പറയും കോളനിയിലാണ് അതിൻ്റെ വീട്. പിന്നെ എന്തായാലും പെട്ടുപോയില്ലേ ഞാൻ. അതെ. പിന്നെ അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് ഇപ്പോൾ കരിന്തലൂട്ട ടീമിൽ വന്നപ്പോൾ രമേശേട്ടനും അങ്ങനെ എല്ലാവരും കൂടി അവർ വർത്തമാനത്തിലാണ് ഞാൻ പറയാനാണ് എന്ന് പറയാനുള്ളൊരു ധൈര്യം എനിക്ക് കിട്ടിയത് കരിന്തലൂട്ട ടീമിനാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ആര് ചോദിച്ചാലും ഞാൻ പറയും, ഇപ്പോൾ പറയാനാന്ന് ഞാൻ പറയും.
Oh, thank you, Philip. Well, this is how I'm going to the plan of my very short presentation. I have some quick thoughts on the film, and then I have questions to Ranjit, and then few thoughts, very short thoughts on the band, and some questions to the band. I'll finish it, and then Lenny could take over, who has, I think, a lot deeper understanding of the film field, especially in South India, across the country. Well, Ranjit Kuru, fantastic achievement. Usually, this kind of engaging with the cost question, the director turns out to be a very condescending person, right? Top-down approach, and you have resisted that. It's a fantastic achievement. I'm not surprised that you've been really given many awards for this film. So it's clear. So you were into the theme. You were part of your subject. So it's amazing. And the most important thing that I liked was, that's why the introductory minutes I chose, in a way that set, that those scenes set the tone for the whole film. And I think within this 3 and odd minutes, you capture the philosophical aspects, the anti-caste and the casteless subjectivity, what do the caste categories do? All of them you captured. So the introduction really sets a powerful tone, and then what happens to the subjects and so on you capture. So it's been structured really well. And I really felt the agency of the subjects is brought up at every moment. When I was watching, and as somebody who works on anti-caste social movements, especially the oppressed communities and across India and outside India, I was looking for a moment where you might slip, and then so you didn't give me a chance. So it was fantastic. I liked it. So the agency of the subject is there in every film. I congratulate you for achieving this. And then you made sure that the moments of hugs on the stage is fantastic, really warm hug, bodies coming together. Love those scenes. And then when there were moments when Ramesh speaks along with his dad, and then when he speaks with his friend, they cry. I couldn't resist my tears. I cried. I was watching. I couldn't control. So in a way, I aligned myself with Ramesh and his dad. As an anti-caste person, who I think of myself as a casteless person, so I could connect with them and be part of them. So you really did that well, and that's fantastic. And then you were very thoughtful to bring in this. One of the band members goes to a barber shop, and the barber opens up, right? There are interesting subcaste tendencies between the oppressed groups, but here is a moment where they come together. I was wondering how they would interact with each other, right? The barber, and so there is beautiful commonality, and I found that moment as transcending the caste barriers and becoming casteless. The barber and the visitor, the customer. So beautiful. You got that really right. Congratulations again. Now, so there are many good things. I kept observing the many powerful shots. I do a bit of cinematography and photography, so I enjoyed many moments in your film. I appreciate that. Now, due to time, I'll quickly go to the question. This is one thing that, if at all I have some questions, critical questions, this would be it. Remember, brother Ramesh of the band refers to Nambudri and refers to Nair. And then he asks his own dad, like, did he beat you? And then Nambudri beat, his dad. Now, what I missed in the film is returning the gaze. Right. Where are the moments of a Nambudri being captured in the film and Nair's thought captured in the film? That would have been holistic, right? I don't know your caste background and so on, Rajit. I don't care, because you've given us your creativity beyond caste. So you are one of us. You are like casteless. That's how I look at you. But I think the film would have been a lot more gripping to record a Nambudri man's casteism, Nair's casteism. How do they do it? How do they continue this? Because otherwise, it becomes again a melodramatic. They look at the oppression. It's a quick thing is, I was with in Kumair, Rajasthan. A girl was physically violated, teenage girl, and during my student days, I met with her. So now, quickly, if you're going to interview that woman again, it's kind of re-traumatizing her, right? We need to record, but at the same time, how did the castes behave? We need to capture that. So we are not returning the gaze yet. That could have been powerful. I need your thoughts on that. Why have you left out recording the casteism of a Nambudri or a Nair and the powerful castes and so on? That's one. And the second thing that I found really missing in your film is this. The gender component is clearly missing, which I think is wrong. A quick shot would be like, Felix, would you be able to play the last sequence? This is a powerful moment for me, Ranjit. The sister is wearing And she could have been a lawyer and so on. She is, I think, waiting for us waiting to speak. Her voice should have been recorded. What is her take on caste? What is her take on patriarchy? I'm sure she would have gone through some Nambudri fellows attack or Nair fellows attack, some kind of casteism. Why have you missed out recording their voice? I mean, she's not a bad member, I understand. So, and there is also, women band members missing, which I thought should have been, holistic had you recorded the sister's voice also. I leave it at that. Now I quickly move to the band. Band members, I don't know, Ramesh is not around, so maybe I'll simply ask, and Uwe, Ranjit, and band members can come together on this. Now, what are the points that I felt was Paraya or Pulaya, these are the categories of Brahmin creation. In other words, untouchability is the creation of Brahmin males. So if there was no Brahmin and Brahminism, there wouldn't have been untouchability. So historians have confirmed it. So, and then they had to come up with a caste structure to impose and physically violate. So the category called, I have worked on Paraya community and Tamil Buddhism, Leni too. So the anti-caste Parayars who did not want of this category called Parayar, they were the pioneers of modern Tamil Buddhism in India. Anti-caste and casteless Buddhism in the Tamil-speaking region. They rejected all caste categories. They said Paraya is a Brahmin male imposition, we reject it. Now, if you're going to capitalize, the band members, if they are going to capitalize on Paraya, for example, their brother, who is a Mason also, says, I am a Paraya. This is what I think Brahmin folks, privileged caste folks want you and me to say. What is your lower? Yeah, you are a Yadav, you are a Paraya, you are a Pulaya. You may, beat your breast and say, but you are not able to get out of the caste category imposed by the Brahmins, right? So how far you can go to dig up a positive meaning of the category Paraya? I don't think it is possible. As an academic, I can say this, right? And there is no possibility of you bringing something extremely powerful, positive memory of a Paraya or a Pulaya. They are casteless Malayalis. They are casteless Tamils. So, and if caste is an imposition of a Brahmin or a privileged group, then who are these people? Parayas or Pulayas? I think stopping with Paraya or Pulaya is problematic. We are not going into the pre-caste positive history and memory of the oppressed groups, nor the post-casteless formation of casteless communities coming together. So I had some problems of it, but at the same time, I find Ramesh is philosophically powerful. Indigenous knowledge, multiple instruments he is talking about. So I stop here. We'll continue the conversation. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Ranjit, would you be able to respond? I mean, Gajit asked this question first in terms of, sort of looking at the documenting the Nambudri Nair response, and then also the issue of gender. To start with, just maybe you have your responses. Yes. Can't hear you.
One second. Okay, before starting this, I have to tell you how I came to this, to the topic of the caste issue in this film, because I'm personally associated with them from 1998 when I was in +2 and all, because the co-founder Mohanatan is one co-founder who took me out of my village and showed me the world. Okay, so I'm belonging to Nair community. Okay, so he's the person who called me to the Dalit colony. I started teaching their old people in literacy mission, because Mohanatan is a literacy mission guy. So I started seeing the outer world with them. So I was part of the band and all. So from that moment, I'm seeing their struggle and all those things. And see, I'm just living half kilometer away from this place, but it's a totally different world. And the pseudo communists and all those people keep telling that like there is no caste sexism, there is no. So whatever you talk about the general Kerala, they will compare to Singapore, and Europe and all. Then the moment you start talking about Dalit issue, they will start comparing with Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, UP. That usually happens. So I'm listening this for quite a long time. So I wanted to make a film of like Buena Vista Social Club, the beautiful music, their life. I didn't want to make any issue at all. I want to make this document their beautiful life, and also I want, because this Ramesh Shetty is my hero, so I want to appreciate his life. So what the problem when started actually, like in Kottayam side, there Dalit, the songs are used for caste operation, and they're very vocal about that. But what problem happens in Kerala, in this part of Trishur and all, they actually a little bit romanticize all these things. They never talks about caste. Even so the situation is now is totally different. There are strong people. So I'm talking about 10, 15 years back when I started doing this film. So there is the turning point is when I started talking to each member separately. So it took 8 years to finish this film. So what I realized that actually everyone personally went through one or other Dalit issues, but never talked in group itself. So they are so personally close, but they didn't talk themselves. So then I saw that the other people also didn't talk. So it's not that actually Namburi or Nair. No, this is, we can see it actually from Kerala committee can see it, but they are not admitting also. So I was keep questioning Vijesh, all those people, what is happening. Then slowly after 5 years, my focus slowly started into caste. Okay, because this is the one thing actually I wanted to tell. So by the time I shot already 500 hours of material. So I was not with the caste issue. I was with the people first. Then I slowly moved. So the other thing actually, why didn't go other side? That's because of the filmmaking style. So for me, documentary is not like it's not like a problem solution or essay. So I want to make you one small point that the caste do exist in Kerala. So I want to get the emotion, because there were films of caste like the few Malayali guys who made the film, and the Ahmedabad based that lesser humans guy also came to shoot Kerala the caste issues. So all those are discussions. I'm not seeing it. So it's an intangible thing. So I'm not getting any feeling out of that. So last 3 years I spent to get that emotion, what they went through. So I want to show to the people. So I don't want anybody else to determine that thing. So I knew that there are 110 other people, 1,000 other people who can relate to Ramesh. So I don't want to come in between. So Ramesh influenced thousands of people. There are now like hundreds of folk bands are there. So indirectly, not like other political group, they didn't say anything about anti-caste or anything, but they did this identity politics. So in different way. When the Vijij came in the beginning, he was in the behind. So within 2 years, he was, so that's a beautiful thing he did, that actually all the members. So it's not about the stage. Vijij joined in the government service, all the people. So he pushed all them. And whoever in the Kerala, who are the people who met him, he was pushing all those things. So so I'm like 24/7 following them for years. So all those things I got it. It was Subhash's marriage. So he was marrying a Nair woman. He didn't tell me that's happening. So there was function. So it's not me. My assistant cameraman went to shoot that. So we are so much close that that he asked one question. What is that? So that the barber started telling his story. So this is all happened like that. So it's like that this guy there's a famous quote, the documentary in documentary, God is the director, the fiction director is the God. And so it's like just happened, and we were actually very curious, and we were just documenting the moments, not the frame. So I choose a cameraman. I made sure that he won't look at the frame. I want he to capture the moment. So that's the one reason. So I want to spend this time with them, not with any other people. I don't care about them personally. So it's not a discussion. So I want to get this small point. No, I want everybody, because I respect him. I love him. So I want all of them to to love or to get the feel of Ramesh. And that's why I just kept that other part. The other thing, actually, gender issue. This band has gender issue. That's why the film is like that. I don't want to show anything else. It's like that. Okay. So, and the other thing about Sheilaji, she's the person I shot more, but she has a different understanding about the caste. She strongly believes that Dalit has serious issue with drinking, and he's sympathizer of upper caste. So at that point of time, my with my creativity and all, I couldn't put it, because now I know how to put it and all, because after a long time, no, because so there is a question which I wanted to, whether I should put the gender or caste question, or so finally no, actually, because the moment he started talking about, then this whole upper caste say, yeah, she's right, she has the point, because she made like that. So I don't want that actually in the film. So this is a very, I had like hundreds of a material of Sheilaji, because I showed, and she's an advocate, so I wanted to make a next film on her only. She's an advocate, so I showed, see, she's a practicing now. So Ramesh didn't allow her to do the job for a long time. So all those things is there. So I don't want to know. So the film is, it's not, I'm not sensitive. This band is like that. So even I put that one story of Mini. She's the lead singer. She's the only permanent singer. She's also somewhere saying that the gender bias, Ramesh didn't allow to perform the band, because she choose the person who she likes. So they had to outside the band for like 2-3 years. So that's how strict he is. That's why the band exists also. But it's there. I'm not negating that. It's there. So these are well thought. Actually, 2-3 years I took to editing also, because I did editing myself. So these were where I should give the representation for Sheilaji, or this other excuse, and that was a point that time, but I don't know now. Like, it's a different time now, because the society changed now. Like, Arivu influenced the people. Now these band members, Vijish and all, no, they're into full time to films. They are making music videos. So with this 18 feet, we were growing together. They learned lots of about filmmaking, and I was learning lots of other things. So it's a mutual growth. So that's why we stick, together till now. So that's the one point. And the other point, actually, about the pride to be, these things. Actually, for me, what happened, actually, this was a very long discussion we had, actually. I think this Vijish will say that, actually, because I think this is the first step to, accept your identity. Then the second step is actually what Tori said. I think so. I don't know, because that Vijish should say that. That I can't say that also, and I don't want to say comment on also that. But yeah, Ramesh and I deliberately put this cast, and how there is slow, upper caste. There is inclination towards upper caste, this rituals and all, and the complication of the caste and subcaste and all. So these small things I put deliberately, and the gender issues there in the band. So that's why the feeling is like that. So that's it.
Lalit, you have to unmute Lalit. Yeah.
Am I?
Yes, now you're audible. Yeah.
I'm audible now, is it? Okay. No, I was just asking if Vijesh would like to come in, and if you'd like to say something in addition to what Ranjit has said about the whole experience and some of the things that Gaji brought up.
Yeah. First of all, I have to use my language Malayalam because English is not.
That's good. And I think Lenny can help out here, right? Yes.
I'll
Okay.
try my level best. Otherwise, I'll Manju to do it. Yeah.
Okay,
You
okay.
can
First
go
of all,
ahead.
Ranjit is our family member. Is Karinthalakkoottaminte ആദ്യകാലം മുതലേ ഇപ്പോഴും ഏറ്റവും അടുത്ത സുഹൃത്താണ്. എല്ലാ ബാൻഡ് മെമ്പേഴ്സ് ആയിട്ടും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എല്ലാ ആളുകളുടെയും കരിന്തലക്കൂട്ടത്തിന്റെ എല്ലാ മെമ്പേഴ്സിന്റെയും വ്യക്തിപരമായിട്ട് അറിയാവുന്ന ഒരു വ്യക്തിയാണ് രഞ്ജിത്ത്.
So Ranjit is well known to them from the very beginning with the band members, and he is actually very close to all the band members amongst others. So they see him as one of their own.
ഒരിക്കലും ആ ബന്ധം ഇതുവരെ ബ്രേക്കപ്പ് ആയിട്ടില്ല. കാരണം എന്താ വെച്ചാൽ നമുക്ക് ആദ്യഘട്ടത്തിൽ ഫസ്റ്റ് ഷൂട്ട് ആരംഭിക്കുന്നതിന്റെ ഫസ്റ്റ് ടൈമില് എനിക്ക് സംശയം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു എന്താണ് സംഭവം എന്നുള്ളത് അറിയില്ലായിരുന്നു. രഞ്ജിത്തിന്റെ കാഴ്ചപ്പാട് എന്താണെന്നോ എന്തിനു വേണ്ടിയാണ് ഈ സിനിമ എടുക്കുന്നത്, എന്താണ് ഫോക്കസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് അറിയില്ലായിരുന്നു. അപ്പൊ ആ സമയത്ത് പലപ്പോഴും ഞാൻ രമേശേട്ടനോട് സംസാരിച്ചിരുന്നു, രമേശേട്ട സൂക്ഷിക്കണം, ഇവൻ എന്താണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് നമുക്ക് അറിയില്ല, കാരണം നമ്മുടെ പെട്ട ഒരാളല്ല, അതുകൊണ്ട് എന്താണ് ഇവൻ മാർക്കറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുന്നത് എന്ന് അറിയില്ല എന്നൊരു ഒരു കാര്യം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ആ കാര്യം രമേശേട്ടനോട് സംസാരിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു.
Okay, in the beginning there was this very close bond with Ranjit, and therefore we did not actually know what he was trying to make in the film. And I was the one who was always skeptical about what was the issue that he was actually trying to make, and therefore they used to actually talk with Ramesh, asking him, throwing up doubts whether what is this fellow going to market at, and so on and so forth. So this was the whole discussion when they actually tried to make the film in the beginning.
ഓക്കെ, അപ്പൊ പക്ഷെ എന്താണ് സിനിമ എടുക്കുന്നതെന്ന് നമുക്ക് ഇതുവരെ അറിയില്ലായിരുന്നു. പക്ഷെ രഞ്ജിത്ത് എഡിറ്റ് കഴിഞ്ഞതിന് ശേഷം നമ്മുടെ സിനിമ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു എന്നെയാണ് ആദ്യമായിട്ട് കാണിക്കുന്നത്. ഞാൻ കണ്ണൂര് ജോലി ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് ജോലി സ്ഥലത്തേക്ക് രഞ്ജിത്ത് വരികയും അവിടെ വെച്ച് സിനിമ ആദ്യം കാണിക്കുകയാണ് ചെയ്തത്. അതുവരെ എനിക്ക് യാതൊരു ഐഡിയ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല, എനിക്കെന്നല്ല ബാൻഡ് മെമ്പേഴ്സിന് ആർക്കും ഒരു ഐഡിയ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല വാട്ട് ഈസ് ഫിലിം എന്നുള്ളത്. അതിനുശേഷം നമ്മൾ കണ്ടു കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോഴാണ് ഇതാണ് നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞത്, ഈ തരത്തിലൊക്കെയാണ് സിനിമയായിട്ട് വന്നു പറഞ്ഞപ്പോ ആദ്യത്തെ 2 ഷോട്ടിൽ തന്നെ രമേശേട്ടന്റെ ആ വീട് കാണിക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് തന്നെ നമ്മൾ സംഭവം അവിടെ പ്രോഗ്രാം കഴിഞ്ഞ് കിടന്നുറങ്ങുന്ന വീടൊക്കെ തന്നെയാണ്. പക്ഷെ ആ രമേശേട്ടന്റെ വീട് സിനിമയിലൂടെ കണ്ടു കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോ നമ്മൾ ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞ കണ്ണ് നിറഞ്ഞു പോയി, തകർന്നു പോയി. സിനിമ കണ്ടതിന് ശേഷം നമ്മളെ സിനിമയിൽ കണ്ടു കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോ വല്ലാത്ത ഫീൽ ആയിരുന്നു അത്.
Yeah. So they had not known what gets recorded in the film while Ranjit was making the film, and many a time they used to wonder, they didn't even know what was going into the film because it was such a long time. And when the first cut was made, and that's when Ranjit had shown Vijesh the cut, and that's when they actually saw what went into the film. And in the first 3 minutes, as Kaji showed us, where Ramesh's house was screened, and where they used to sleep around after every program, that's when they saw themselves first time reflected in a screen, and that changed them, that kind of moved them and swelled them into emotive tears, and because for the first time they see themselves on screen. That's what I think Vijesh told.
അതെ അതെ അതെ. ഈ ആദ്യഘട്ടത്തില് ഇപ്പോ അതിനുശേഷം ഈ സിനിമ എന്നുള്ള സംഭവം നമുക്കതുവരെ അതിന്റെ ഒരു പ്രോസസ്സ് അറിയില്ലായിരുന്നു. എന്താണ് സിനിമ എന്നും എന്താണ് സിനിമയുടെ പ്രോസസ്സ് എന്നും. നമ്മൾ ആകെ കൂടി ചെയ്തിരുന്നത് രമേശേട്ടനുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട കരിന്തലക്കൂട്ടത്തിന്റെ പെർഫോമൻസ് വേദികളിൽ പെർഫോം ചെയ്യുക എന്നുള്ളതായിരുന്നു. പക്ഷെ സിനിമയുടെ ഒരു ഡെപ്ത്, സിനിമയുടെ ഒരു ഇമ്പാക്ട് എന്നുള്ളത് നമുക്ക് ഇതിന് ശേഷമാണ് മനസ്സിലായി കഴിഞ്ഞത്. ഞാൻ പോലും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഈ സംഘത്തിലെ കുറെ ആളുകൾ ഇതിന് ശേഷം 18 ഫീറ്റിന് ശേഷം കുറെ ഷോർട്ട് ഫിലിമിൽ, ഞാനും കുറെ ഒരു ഷോർട്ട് ഫിലിം കൂട്ടുകാർ ചേർന്ന് വേറെ ഉണ്ടാക്കിണ്ടായി. മ്യൂസിക് വീഡിയോസ്, മറ്റു ഷോർട്ട് ഫിലിമുകളുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട ഒരുപാട് ഈ സിനിമയെ ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട ഒരുപാട് പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളിൽ ഞങ്ങൾ ചെറുപ്പക്കാരടക്കുന്ന സംഘം അടക്കുന്ന ഒരുപാട് ആളുകൾ ഇതിലൊക്കെ ആക്റ്റീവായിട്ട് ഇപ്പോ ലൈവായിട്ട് നിൽക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. അത് 18 ഫീറ്റിന്റെ ഒരു ഇമ്പാക്ട് ഉണ്ട് അതിന്, തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും അതിന് ഉണ്ട് എന്ന് പറയാം.
So just in before earlier to 18 feet, I think nobody had this distinction between this thing called performance. Am I echoing? called performance, which they used to do on stages vis-a-vis Karinthalakkoottam. And on the other side, when the film was happening, the cinema had an effect, and that is what actually had a larger impact till today, and which actually prompted most of the band members to enter into filmmaking, particularly making, say, music videos or short live programs, when they actually use video camera to actually record it and so on and so forth. So this effect was a learning process for them, while for most of the band members and also who participated in the making of 18 feet. I think that is the one of the most, I think, experience that they had of working with what is this film effect vis-a-vis the performance that they were trained to do on the stage.
Um, that's uh, that's a very interesting, fascinating point. Actually, this whole process of filming actually becomes a learning process both for the filmmaker but also for you. And it helps you then in terms of that's very interesting. We are going to pick this up again in terms of more questions, different formats. I wanted to actually shift the discussion to Lenny, who has also selected a couple of very interesting scenes from the film. So let me just hand this over to you, Lenny, first, whether you would like to ask Ranjit a question or Vijesh a question, or you just like to show a scene. Over to you.
So thanks, Lalit, and thanks, Gaji sir, for this wonderful. I think we are sharing screen after a very long time, and it's also very interesting for me because I also know Ranjit and Karinthalakkoottam. Uh, Even from the first cut, like Vitesh, I also saw the first cut with Ranjit back in Gulbarga, I remember. So this was in 2012, 2012, 20, no, 2013 or 2014, I think, just before he finished the film. So it's a long journey, and both of very close friends here at Simis and Vijay and Karinthalakkoottam. Karinthalakkoottam also came to University of Hyderabad to perform in a academic get together, a research conference. It's a very interesting journey. Therefore, I think somebody's on, so I'm hearing an echo. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So I have three major points because from the very powerful takes that Gaji had actually taken up and actually presented the film. As many of you know, the film is largely on this band. There are quite a lot of Indian music band oriented documentaries that have come, and I'm sure major feature films have also been made with certain distinct kind of mode. And today we have a very interesting pop culture which is quite resistant and also powerful in presenting music as a mode of protesting against caste, and this has been a very large movement in the making, and many of us, including Gaji, have been thinking about this for some time now. But what is to do music as a sensibility to think of anti-caste movements, or thinking about or having a certain discourse even about caste in the larger globalized setup that you're having. So in that larger trajectory, I think Ranjit's important documentary, which was itself something which was imagined when he was a student in the Film Institute at Satyajit Ray Film Institute in Kolkata. And this is, in a sense, a longish student project, but also, I think, a deeply, if you see the film for the 77 minutes, it's also a research project which goes on. And one of the major things I thought I'll foreground is the notion of documentary and discursivity, and for which I think the small clip will start up, and I'll reflect on it and open up the film for some discussion on that. So the first 5 minutes that I shared can be screened now. Lalit?
Hi, Felix. Felix, are you there? Just give me a moment because
Yeah. All right. So Now, one of the major, I think I just share a few ideas on this, and then we'll go to the. I mean, I think that sometimes seeing it and listening to something already which is worked out is better. I thought one of the major thing that both the Karinthalakkoottam as a group, as a musical troupe, was pedagogically trying to do was to retrieve. Tirichedkanam. This is the word that they keep using. Tirichedkanam. Retrieve certain lost. Okay, Felix. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
മോനായിട്ട് പരിചയപ്പെടാനുള്ള സാഹചര്യം അതാണ് കരിന്തലക്കൂട്ടം എന്ന സംഘത്തിൻ്റെ വലിയൊരു ഇൻഷുറൻസ്.
ശരിയാണ്, വിത്ത് അവിടെയാണെന്നാണ് അല്ലേ? അവിടെയാണ് വിത്ത് വീണത്.
അപ്പം അതിനേക്കാൾ മുമ്പ് പാടിയുണ്ട് കൂട്ടം എന്ന കൂട്ടം. പിന്നെ കോളേജിൽ പഠിക്കുമ്പോൾ കുറേ പാട്ടുകളും ഇതൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ പാടാറുണ്ട്.
ആദിവാസി മേഖലയിൽ സാക്ഷരത നടത്താൻ പോയി, പഠിപ്പിക്കാൻ പോയി. അപ്പോൾ ഗോത്രസ്മൃതി എന്നൊരു പുസ്തകം ഇറക്കാനുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അതിനുവേണ്ടി അവരുടെ കഥകളും പാട്ടുകളും ശേഖരിക്കാൻ എനിക്ക് ഒരവസരം കിട്ടി. അപ്പോൾ അത് 2 വർഷത്തിനിടയ്ക്ക് ആ കാര്യം ഭംഗിയായിട്ട് ചെയ്യുകയും പുസ്തകം പ്രകാശനം ചെയ്യുകയും ചെയ്തു. അങ്ങനെ എൻ്റെ മനസ്സിൽ തോന്നി, കാട്ടിലൊരുപാട് പാട്ടുകളുണ്ടായല്ലോ, നാട്ടിലും ഇത്തരം പാട്ടുകളുണ്ടല്ലോ, അത് ഏതൊക്കെയാണെന്ന് തിരിച്ചറിയണം. വെറുതെ ഒരു തിരിച്ചറിവിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ഞാൻ വെറുതെ ഇങ്ങനെ ഇറങ്ങി തിരിച്ചു. അതിനെ സഹായിക്കാൻ ഒരു VK ശ്രീധരൻ എന്നൊരു സാറുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. നിർദ്ദേശങ്ങൾ തരാം. നാട്ടറവി പഠന കേന്ദ്രത്തിൻ്റെ ഒരു മീറ്റിംഗ് തൃശ്ശൂർ വയ്ക്കുകയാണ്. തൃശ്ശൂർ സാഹിത്യ അക്കാദമിയിൽ ഒരു മീറ്റിംഗ് നടന്നുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ ചെന്നൊരു പ്ലാവിൻ്റെ കിടയ്ക്ക് തണലിങ്ങനെ ഇരിക്കുക. അപ്പോഴാണ് ആള് രമേശ് എൻ്റെ അടുത്ത് വന്നിരുന്നു. അങ്ങനെ പരിചയപ്പെട്ടു. അപ്പോഴേ രമേശ് പറഞ്ഞ, ഞാൻ ഈ പാട്ടുകളൊക്കെയും ഞാൻ ചില വേദികളിൽ സെമിനാറുകൾ പാടിയിട്ടുണ്ടെന്ന്, ഞാൻ കളക്ട് ചെയ്ത പാട്ടുകളൊക്കെ. അങ്ങനെയാണ് ആദ്യമായിട്ട് പരിചയപ്പെടുന്നത്.
ഞാൻ പറയാം, നമ്മുടെ കുട്ടികളെ കിട്ടും പാട്ട് പാടാൻ. നമുക്ക് അങ്ങനെയല്ലേ പറയാം, ശ്രമിക്കാം. അവിടെ ഉണ്ട് കുട്ടികളല്ല, നീ
ഞങ്ങൾ ഒരു പാട്ടെടുത്ത് അത് ഒരുപാട് വിശകലനം ചെയ്യണം. സംഘം ഇപ്പോൾ വളർന്നിട്ടും അങ്ങനെ തന്നെയാണ്. അതിൽ കണ്ടെത്തലുകൾ നടത്തണം. ഇത് ഏത് ഘട്ടത്തിൽ പാടിയതാണ്, അതിന് അന്ന് ഉപയോഗിച്ചിരുന്ന വാദ്യങ്ങൾ ഏതാണ്, അത് കണ്ടെത്തുകയും അതേപടി തന്നെ പകർത്തി വേദിയിലേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവരാൻ ശ്രമിക്കുന്നൊരു ആ ഒരു ശൈലിയാണ് ഞങ്ങൾ നിലനിർത്തിയത്. മറ്റു സംഘങ്ങൾക്കില്ലാത്ത ഒരു പ്രത്യേകത.
ഞാൻ ഈ പാട്ടും ഇതൊക്കെ നേരെ കുഞ്ഞായിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് പിന്നീട് ഈ സാധനം രണ്ടാമത് വേറൊരു രൂപത്തിൽ കേൾക്കണമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ കരിന്തലക്കൂട്ടം എടപ്പള്ളിയിൽ വെച്ചിട്ട് ഒരു പരിപാടി നടത്തുന്ന സമയത്ത് ആ സാധനം കേൾക്കുമ്പോഴാണ് ഞാനിത് ഇതിന് ഇങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു മാനം ഉണ്ടല്ലോ എന്ന് ഞാൻ അറിയാം. അപ്പൊ ഇത് ഇങ്ങനെ പറയില്ലേ, ഇത് നമ്മുടേതാണ്, ഇതാണ് നമ്മുടെ അസ്തിത്വം എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് രമേശ് ഇങ്ങനെ ചൂണ്ടി പറയണ ഒരു സാധനം ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, അത് നമ്മളങ്ങോട്ട് വേറെ തരത്തിൽ മൊത്തം ഉടച്ചു വാർത്തമാണ്. അങ്ങനെയാണ് പോയി
സംഘം തുടങ്ങിയതാണോ? സംഘം തുടങ്ങിയില്ല. അപ്പോൾ ആ കാലഘട്ടങ്ങളിൽ അന്നത്തെ ചെറുപ്പക്കാരെ ഇത് തുടങ്ങിയ ആ സമയത്ത് പലരും നമ്മളെ വിമർശിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. നിങ്ങൾ എന്തെന്നേ ചെയ്യണേ, ചെണ്ടൊക്കെ തൊഴിലിട്ട് പോകുമ്പോഴേ നിങ്ങളെ പഴയ കാരണന്മാർ അതേ ശൈലി നന്നാവിലിടാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ പുച്ഛിച്ചിരുന്നവര് പിന്നെ നമ്മള് പാടി കാസറ്റാക്കിയപ്പോൾ കാസറ്റ് അവർക്ക് വേണം, അത് കേൾക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങാൻ പറ്റാത്ത ഒരു അവസ്ഥയിലേക്ക് മാറി. അങ്ങനെ ഏറ്റെടുപ്പിക്കാൻ നമ്മൾക്ക് പറ്റിയത് ഏറ്റവും നല്ലൊരു വിജയം. കരിന്തല എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ തലമുറ എന്നാണ് അർത്ഥം. കാരണന്മാർ പറഞ്ഞ് കേൾക്കണത് അങ്ങനെയാണ്. അന്നത്തെ പൂർവികരുടെ പാട്ടുകളും കലകളും ഇന്നത്തെ കരിന്തലകൾ ഏറ്റുവാങ്ങി കരിന്തലക്കൂട്ടമായി നിലനിൽക്കുന്നു പറഞ്ഞു അല്ലേ? അതാണ് ഏറ്റവും ശരിയായിട്ടുള്ളൊരു വാർത്തവത്തായ ഒരു പേര് തന്നെയാണ് നമുക്ക് കിട്ടിയത്.
കേരളത്തിൽ അങ്ങോളങ്ങളും പാടി ഫലിപ്പിച്ച പ്രശസ്തമായ നാടൻ പാട്ടാണ് ആടുപാമ്പ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന പാട്ട്. ആ പാട്ട് ശേഖരിച്ചതും പാടിയതും ഞങ്ങളുടെ കൂട്ടാളി ശ്രീ വിജീഷ് സാറാണ്. അദ്ദേഹം വേദിയിൽ പാടുന്നു. ആടുപാമ്പേ ആടാടുപാമ്പേ ആടാടുപാമ്പേ ആടുപാമ്പേ ആടാടുപാമ്പേ കാവിളം പാമ്പേ ആടുപാമ്പേ ആടാടുപാമ്പേ ആടാടുപാമ്പേ ആടുപാമ്പേ ആടാടുപാമ്പേ കാവിളം പാമ്പേ എന്തു കണ്ടിട്ട് ഏതേതു കണ്ടിട്ട് ആടാടുപാമ്പേ എന്തു കണ്ടിട്ട് ഏതെന്തു കണ്ടിട്ട് ആടാടുപാമ്പേ എന്തു കണ്ടിട്ട് ഏതെന്തു കണ്ടിട്ട് ആടാടുപാമ്പേ എന്തു കണ്ടിട്ട്
Thanks for this. So this is, I thought I'll foreground the discussion with this short streaming that I selected. There are two things I thought I'll share while thinking about this particular shot, because Ranjit here with his own intimation as he discussed, but also the intent of the film very much when you watch is he wanted to foreground on this team, Karinthalakkoottam, and particularly Ramesh as his major cult figure, a certain kind of a Rakshak Adhikari, somebody who take care of the community through music, give them a certain kind of foregrounding in a space which completely invisibilizes people. And Gaji actually showed a certain discussions of what do these young boys go through, and a certain kind of a reformulation he does through this music, man. But what happens in this very interesting discussion is a very organic community and a collective emerges, right? And what we understand here is, and this collective is already thinking about recording, thinking about retrieving, and through different media genres. Say for instance, Mohanan, who was the co-founder of the team, was somebody who was involved in in collecting literacy, in actually spreading literacy, and was working with magazines, and he used to write things on different music, try to collect them, edit them. There is at a different media, like Ranjit uses his camera to present a short documentary, you have interlocutors like him, who actually does a different kind of work in a longer history. And Ranjit, through this interesting documentary, documents this interesting moments, of a longer history that was actually operative. And imagine, very interesting, he also says there were music CDs, that that they used to actually record and do, which was an earlier format to which a certain kind of documenting, but also effectively making it listen to people. And that's an interesting para economy which was already at work, at a certain kind of an effective community, effective economy, if you want to say, was at work. So I was thinking, while documentaries, as film practice work with memory and largely historicization, what we see in this filmmaking process is also a discursivity that also records a longer, a kind of a historical, a kind of a little beyond that moment. While one can say Ranjit actually has presented this community for the first time in recording them, but actually in this recording there is a longer history which is also which makes itself available to us as collectivity, as a collectivity. And you see that bearded man, who in the next scene he'll come again. It's a very interesting man, because he's somebody who's not part of the team, but he's a listener, and he has heard these songs when he was young, when he was a kid, when he was 5 years old, and he recalls those moments in a different shade altogether when Karinthalakkoottam represents these songs in a different vantage, from a different vantage point, from a different lens, in a sense that these songs, when they retrieved through this team and presented in a certain format, they make meaning distinctly for reformulating a becoming of a kind, a becoming community of a kind, something which rejects untouchability, something which rejects caste notions of who can like, love, or who can be part of anything. So I think Ranjit, as while this was his journey for 9 years, and the film itself was a journey of a kind, I think one of the major points I thought was this play between documenting and discursivity that this film opened up with. No, I was thinking to ask Ranjit, how did you think of, what do you think, for example, because I'm sure these discussions, as though you had a camera around, was never actually written down or something, but how did you feel these moments actually when they slip into your camera, in the slip, and when they not merely documentary, but there's also a discourse that emerges which can go into different modes, right? And what do you think of those moments? I'll come back to you. You can clearly connect it in the next bit, when I raise this thing, when I would like to ask, how do you want to connect it, say for example with filmmaking and with what happens in a discussion, and where it goes as a kind of an affective kind of a mode, and not necessarily only recording what is there already. right? It will make a little more sense when I particularly show the next bit, and then we'll come for a kind of an elongated discussion after that along with the team. Yeah, the next 10, I think 8 minutes, a little longer scene. Yeah.
പണ്ട് നമ്മുടെ ഓഫീസോട് തന്നെയാണ് വീട്ടിൻ്റെ അപ്പുറത്തെ പോർഷനില്ലേ അത് റൂമല്ലായിരുന്നു. കല്യാണം കഴിഞ്ഞ ശേഷം നമ്മൾ റൂമാക്കി എടുത്തത്. അവിടെ മൊത്തം ഓഫീസ് തന്നെ നമ്മൾ ബുക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ വരുന്നത് അവിടെയൊക്കെ ആയിരുന്നു. ഈ മുറ്റത്ത് കൊട്ടപ്പുറം പറമ്പിൽ അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ രസം. പിന്നെ ഞങ്ങൾ വണ്ടിയിലേക്ക് ഒരു പുതിയ പാട്ട് പഠിച്ചു. വണ്ടിയിലേക്ക് രസം. പ്രോഗ്രാം കഴിഞ്ഞ് വന്ന് കിടക്കുന്നത് പോലും ഇവിടെ തന്നെയാണ്. ഈ വീട്ടിൽ ഇപ്പം കുട്ടികളാണെങ്കിൽ അമ്മയുടെ കൂടെ അമ്മയുടെ കൂടെ എല്ലാവരും കൂടെ കിടക്കും. തൊട്ടപ്പുറത്ത് കാർന്നോടെ കിടക്കും. പിന്നെ അപ്പുറത്തെ റൂം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല, പിന്നെ എടുത്താണ്. അപ്പോൾ അവിടെ കിടക്കും. പിന്നെ വണ്ടിയിൽ എടുക്കില്ല. രാവിലെ എല്ലാവരും വേണ്ടിയിട്ട്
മംഗളായി മടത്തിലെ പെണ്ണ് മാമ്പഴ കുഞ്ഞോതേ, മംഗളായി മടത്തിലെ പെണ്ണ് മാമ്പഴ കുഞ്ഞോതേ,
മംഗളായി മടത്തിലെ പെണ്ണ് മാമ്പഴ കുഞ്ഞോതേ, 7 പേര് ഞങ്ങളമാർക്ക് ഞാനൊരു
7 പേര് ഞങ്ങളമാരുടെ മാമ്പഴ കുഞ്ഞോതേ, 7 പേര് ഞങ്ങളമാർക്ക് ഞാനൊരു പെങ്ങള്.
വൈഫ് ഹാപ്പിയാണല്ലേ? വീടായി കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോഴേ വൈഫ് ഹാപ്പിയായില്ലേ? ഇപ്പൊ എത്ര വർഷമായി കല്യാണം കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട്?
7 വർഷം.
7 വർഷം. കോളേജിൽ വെച്ചിട്ടാണ്
അല്ലല്ല, ചേർപ്പ് സ്കൂളിൽ നമ്മളൊരു കളിത്തട്ട് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു ക്യാമ്പ്, കളിത്തട്ട് ക്യാമ്പിൽ വരെ അങ്ങനെ കളിത്തട്ട് ക്യാമ്പിൽ വെച്ച് അങ്ങനെ
ഈ ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞ ഈ വീട് കണ്ടിട്ടില്ല. പറഞ്ഞുള്ള അറിയല്ലേ? ആള് പ്രതീക്ഷ എങ്ങനെയായിരുന്നു ഇവിടെ വന്നത്?
ആള് തിരിച്ചു പോകുമ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ പറഞ്ഞില്ലട്ടോ. പിന്നീട് തന്നെയാണ് പറഞ്ഞത്. വീട് കണ്ടപ്പോൾ ആളുടെ ആകെ പോയി, മനസ്സൊക്കെ തകർന്നു പോയി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. പിന്നെ എങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ അങ്ങനെ അഡ്ജസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്ത് അങ്ങനെ കണക്കാൻ കിട്ടിയില്ല. സംഭവം ഇവിടെ ഉണ്ട്, വേറെ ഒന്നുമില്ല. കൈ പൈസ വേണ്ട. വയറൊക്കെ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. സ്വിച്ച് ബോർഡ് മേടിക്കാൻ കാശില്ല. ഹീറ്റർ മേടിക്കണം, മറ്റേ സാധനമൊക്കെ മേടിക്കണ്ടേ? അത് നമുക്ക് വെറുതെ തരില്ലല്ലോ. പാട്ടിൻ്റെ ഈ കുട്ടീൻ്റെ ഒരു മര്യാദ എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു കാഴ്ച എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നമ്മുടെ വടക്കെട്ടി ഭഗവതിയാണ്, ക്ഷേത്രമാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അവിടെ തട്ടത്തമ്മയിൽ നമ്മൾ എല്ലാ വർഷവും കൊട്ടുകളി കൊണ്ടുപോകും. അത് പറയ സമുദായക്കാരുണ്ടാവും, പുകയ സമുദായക്കാരുണ്ടാവും. അപ്പോൾ അവരുടെ കാളുകളിയും നമ്മളെ പട്ടമുടിയും കുമ്പമുടിയും കേട്ടുപോകും. അപ്പോൾ ഇത് ഒരു സുപ്രഭാതത്തിൽ ഈ നമ്മുടെ എന്താ പറയുക തലമുറകൾ മാറിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ പിന്നീട് ഇത് പറയൻ്റെയും പുലയൻ്റെയും ഈ ഒരുമാതിരി കോപ്രായങ്ങളായി മാറുകയാണ്. അങ്ങനെ അവർ പറഞ്ഞ് പരത്തി ആ സമൂഹം.
അതിന് ഈ പറഞ്ഞ മേക്കാട്ടിലുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട അമ്പലമാണ്. ഈ പറഞ്ഞാൽ അത് കൈകാര്യം ചെയ്യുന്ന ആളുകൾ നായർ സമുദായമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട ആളുകളാണ്, അതിൻ്റെ എല്ലാ ആളുകളുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അവർക്കത് ഒരു വെറുതെ കള്ളുപിടിച്ച് കോപ്രായം കാണിക്കുന്ന ഒരു ആളുകളാണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു കലയാണ്. അതുകൊണ്ട് അത് വളരെ മോശമാണെന്നുള്ള രീതിയിൽ ചിന്തിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് അവർ ഒരു സുപ്രഭാതത്തിൽ ഈ 2 വിഭാഗങ്ങളുടെയും പരിപാടി നിർത്തലാക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പൊ അതൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ അന്ന് തിരിച്ചറിവുണ്ടായിരിക്കും. അപ്പോൾ ഇതൊക്കെ നമ്മുടെ മനസ്സിലുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അത്ര നാൾ കൊട്ടിപ്പാടിയ കാവിന് പുറത്താക്കണേ ഒരു വലിയൊരു ജനതയുടെ സംസ്കാരത്തെ.
പിന്നെ അങ്ങോട്ട് ഈ ഇതും കൊണ്ട് ചെല്ലണ്ട അങ്ങനെ ആക്കി.
ഭയങ്കര ഇഷ്ടല്ലേ?
തമ്പൂരാന്റെ തീണ്ടലി തീണ്ടലാൻ എന്തുതന്റെ തീണ്ടലാൻ തമ്പൂരാന്റെ തീണ്ടലി.
ശ്രീകണ്ഠല്ലേ അതൊക്കെ പാടുമ്പോഴൊരു
ഉറപ്പായിട്ട്.
അല്ല അത് സത്യം പറഞ്ഞില്ലേ, അന്നേരം പെർഫോമൻസ് അല്ല ജീവിതത്തിന്റെ ഒരു ഭാഗമാണ്.
അത് പാടുമ്പോഴുള്ളൊരു എനർജി പറഞ്ഞാല് കൃത്യമായിട്ട് കിട്ടും നമുക്ക്. ഇത്രയും ഈ ഒരു എന്താ ബാക്ക്ഗ്രൗണ്ട് ഉള്ളത് കൊണ്ടാണ്, ഈ തരത്തിലുള്ള അനുഭവങ്ങൾ പിന്നിലുള്ളത് കൊണ്ടാണ് അതിന് അത്രയും ഒരു ഫോഴ്സ് കിട്ടുന്നത്. അതല്ലാത്ത ഒരാൾ പഠിക്കും, ഞാൻ പഠിക്കുകയും ചിലപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ കിട്ടില്ല. നമുക്ക് അത്രയും അനുഭവം കൃത്യമായിട്ട് നേരിട്ട് കിട്ടിയില്ല എന്ന് പറയുന്നൊരു കാര്യം.
ഇത്ര അനുഭവം കൊണ്ട് പിന്നെ നമ്മുടെ അപ്പനമ്മമാരൊക്കെ പണിക്കോ ഇവിടെ എല്ലാവരുടെയും പഠിക്കാൻ പോകുന്ന സംഭവങ്ങളുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അവിടുത്തെ പല കുട്ടികളൊക്കെ പൂതമ്പാറ എവിടെ ഉണ്ടോ, കുഞ്ഞിരാമ്പാറ എവിടെ ഉണ്ടോ എന്നൊക്കെ ചോദിക്കുമ്പോ
പിള്ളേരാണ് ചോദിക്കുന്നത്, മുതിർന്ന ആളുകൾ.
അത് ഭയങ്കര പ്രശ്നങ്ങളാണ്. അല്ല അങ്ങനെയായിരുന്നു എന്റെ ചിന്തകള്. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മുടെ കൂട്ടത്തിൽ കുട്ടികളോട് പോലും പറയുന്നതാണ്. അപ്പോ പക്ഷെ വിജീഷ് മാധ്യമരൊക്കെ വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാലും പറയുന്ന സംഭവമാണ്. കാരണം കറുപ്പ് കരുത്താണ്, ഞങ്ങൾ പറയേണ്ട മക്കളാണ്, പറയേണ്ട മക്കൾ അങ്ങനെ പറഞ്ഞു പഠിപ്പിച്ച് ഞാനാ അവരെല്ലാവരെയും. അതിന്റെ ഒരു കരുത്ത് നോക്കി എന്തുണ്ട്. ഔദ്യോഗിക തലങ്ങളിൽ പോലും ഇത്ര വിഷയങ്ങളുണ്ടേ. നമ്മൾ ആരോട് പറയാം, പരിഹാരം നമ്മൾ തന്നെ ഉണ്ടാക്കണം. അതാണ്
ആരും സഹായത്തിനുണ്ടാവില്ല. പക്ഷെ നമ്മൾ മതിയില്ലേ?
തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും.
Okay, so this is another, I think, scene which was, very consciously and a little bit, with a certain kind of a force that Ranjit had edited it, right? In a discussion that was going, I think, in an interesting discussion that was going with emotive as well as a certain kind of an affective nature. So, and I think Gaji's question comes back again here, right? When they are moved, we are moved at the same time as a certain kind of a politics of of listening to the other story. We need how the ones who inflicted this pain should have been recorded. But my point, I think, is something a little which moves a little away to ask within what is being presented. I thought I'll ask some intervening questions. One of the things is I thought from the discussion that we saw, there's a very interesting way in which the politics of suffering, right, as humiliation, right, as being humiliated, is also weighed against kind of a balance, not against once again as politics, but as a certain kind of an aesthetics of memory. Look at the moment when they actually move and when they're trying to actually talk out, particularly Ramesh, when he was trying to talk out what was humiliation for him, right, being called paraya, or not being allowed, the songs that were actually a cultural expression of a big group of people who mattered in this, who are the native people of this subcontinent, where when they're exiled out, when they're outcasted and exiled out of the sacred geography, or rather cultural geography of the subcontinent. The immediate response was by this interesting person. He started singing. Right? He started singing about the untouchability of the non-touchable. And what does it mean? Doesn't make any sense. He started singing a certain kind of politics of suffering was counterbalanced or in conversation by an interesting aesthetics of memory, which again I thought is something which was, I don't know whether it was orchestrated, but I think it was also something which exceeded the recording, documenting way of actually presenting the story. I thought, it had a certain kind of a intrinsic nature in which our conversations work out. There is a certain exuberation, right, which doesn't work out as a reasoning or a certain kind of a certain kind of a conversation of a kind, because there's a certain kind of an expression that bursts out into singing. I thought was a moment in which humiliation was taken at on face and then sung. I thought that is a very interesting way. I think songs of this kind, and today when we think of as a parallel in a very near cultural space, which is Tamil Nadu, the castless collectives work is a certain kind of hearing that they actually offer, a certain kind of listening that they offer against in a plethora of orality. When there's a frontality of caste which comes as screen presence, there's an orality of of antika sound noise which comes and occupies a sonic atmosphere of our subconscious. I thought that was a very interesting way to think about exclusion, but also at once how exclusion is countered by by a certain way in which an aesthetics of memory could be worked out. The last part I thought, Agatis, I'll finish it here, is on the filmmaking process itself. I thought generally what happens with singing as a cultural practice is singing is to sing like somebody else, right? It's an imitative method, right? There's a pattern in which a sound is imitated, is embodied, and there's a certain which a recurrence happens, so that the tune is is could be recreated in that way. But we see in this protest bands of the most oppressed, or where actually sound operates along with adal, which is dance, which is performance, right? It's not singing separated from performance, separated from playing the music. Everything comes together, and it's a pedagogical act. And in these performative affective communities, expressive communities, what happens is it is always a certain mode in which imitation is rejected. There's no imitation there. Every sound is a separated it's a kind of an intrinsic sound which brings a certain kind of a collectivity of a kind. I thought a certain way in which that could have been pushed forward along with Ranjit's own turn towards at the end, towards a certain kind of remembering them of the social location that they were engaging with. I think there is a way in which the practice of this music contests very directly what we have always thought as cultured or quote unquote caste elite music that has retained within the cauldrons of how sound is. And we know how Malayalam, within Malayalam Kerala public sphere, how there is a classical music tradition which actually operates quite very powerfully as a certain kind of South Indian music of a kind. And many of the singers that we listen to in South Indian film industry are largely trained, Carnatic Malayalam singers, and they operate in different industries. And to this kind of a huge hegemonic sound system, sonic universe, Karinthalakkoottam actually offers a very distinct, diverse ways of doing music, right, against caste. I thought, and I thought that is a certain kind of a rhythmic resistance that comes in, where tears slowly wither away to a certain kind of a listening, a certain kind of a listening of music. I think that is something how untouchability or caste is taken away, or particularly I don't want to quote untouchable, but caste is actually contested by the sensorium, right? So, but I thought a large second question, in the filmmaking process, Ranjit, I think there were other also filmmakers like Anup also worked, Anup Kumar's music on this band, on music in Kerala, and that was also a small documentary that he did, where how what music matters to the most oppressed groups and how that could be a certain kind of a protest site, this could be thought about and worked on. I think both your documentaries could actually work together in a certain way. And but as a filmmaker, I was thinking, because you're primarily editor as well, right? You're primary editor as well, and there's a way in which, though this is a discursive mode where it enters into a certain affective and documents an expressive community of a kind, as politics and an aesthetics. I thought, one of the things that you actually worked out was what Ramesh Shettin was telling in the discussion, an image, right, which was closed, which was inferiorized, which was segmented, right, and distanced as the most, as a kind of a defiled other, was broken up, or rather remembered and broken up by the team, and how you work with that image and offer the story of Ramesh through this documentary. But as an editor, I was thinking, this is your directional attempt, your debut. But as an editor, you actually work with narration, right? And one of the things I still wanted to make sense of was, even in the discussion, the whole story was about them having a new house, right? The imagination of a new house. But the way in which, there's a story there when you ended it, and the house had to be broken down, had to be taken away because of the local politics of governance, but also politics of caste and politics of religionists, Hindu religionists in the region, right? Very much, Ramesh has very overtly told that he is a practitioner of a certain kind of a popular religion, and he sings songs in different stages. But nevertheless, at the end of the story, as an editor, as somebody who has edited it and put together all the story, somewhere the shot ends up with him lonely, standalone, right? Like distanced by 18 feet from others, right? A certain kind of a singularization has happened, individualization has happened, a distanciation has happened, right? With Ramesh as a figure, right? In the logic of the story, right? In the logic of the story. How do you want to place it with whatever I've discussed from the beginning? Like collection of voices, collectives which are distinct. At the same time, certain kind of aesthetics of memory that is at work, and which wants to affect and express a certain kind of a of a coming community, of a community which is in the making, which negates any kind of negated identity, any kind of suppressed identity, and they wanted a new kind of identification with performance and singing, and they want to belong in music, right? So if that is the story which is intrinsic to the narration, how as an editor, the direction is very much clear. How as an editor did you put in this series of shots, right, and wonderfully with music correlating with, but at the end, as a distantiated, lonely person, helpless person, whose house is being brought down? How did you decide that, and what kind of meaning that could actually open up for a film as a holistic experience, Ranjit? I think it's a tough question, I know, but I thought I'll listen to you, as an editor. How do you come to that decision along? Thanks for this wonderful opportunity. I think it took a lot of time.
No, that's great. Great comments. Thanks so much, Lenny. In fact, can we have Ranjit's response? Ranjit, would you like to respond? Then I'll come back to Gaji, who I think also wanted to make a couple of points. But Ranjit, please.
Oh, it's too much. Anyway, actually, I had to make, I'm personally a filmmaker, basically. I put myself as a filmmaker, okay. So I did some, the only thing which I wanted to do from the beginning, that actually Karinthalakkoottam, documentary on Karinthalakkoottam will be my first film. That I decided even before joining the film institute. So whenever I go to Kolkata, come back, shoot, and all, I was experimenting. So the Buena Vista Social Club was my ideal. So I shooting like that and all those things, and I was going. But then I met this guy, this a documentary maker called Leonardo, Leonardo, like the Possession Among Stars guy. So we had a workshop, and I got to time to talk to him. I watched his, this film, and so he 12 years he shot one family and made 3 films, So then I influenced by this guy's performance because he's capturing the moments. So this film is with a mother actually. So I also had a mother, Ramesh Shetty's mother. So I saw that I should experiment that actually. So one shot as a one scene. So that's why I also didn't break my camera. I start from the early 6 o'clock. I will start the shooting, and the end we will end when me or my cameraman crash. So we keep shooting. And after a point of years, I know Ramesh Shetty know, these people know I'm looking for something, but they didn't know what is that. So they are actually giving very personal because mother, the beginning used to stand still because she used to think like a camera. That point turned to be she used to tell whole entire house secret on camera, entire thing, because the camera became invisible and she is. So it's the same thing. So I was not sure about where will I focus. So this one element which you got the crying about the cast, what, and it's not about the violence. It's about a personal thing. He does it many times, like whenever he's drunk or even he's with the friends or whatever things. I seen this actually. This is very deeply haunted him. And he cried for other reasons also. So I have all the footages. So, but I chose finally, so my entire film is, he's a bus conductor, he's a musician, he's influenced few people, and with all those things, he got into a new house. So that's my house. Okay. So this is a very simple point. And so I want to stick it to one character. So I have enough footage of these 4 guys are there, like Vijish Lal. I have an entire family story. Mani, even he came for one frame. Mani is, I know the whole entire story. He shared all the experience from his school time. And Srijit is he is a government employee. He has worked with the Indian tax department. And Remit, he's a popular songwriter in the feature films also. He writes and all now. So everybody I know entire story, love story, yes story, O story. But finally, this is 74 minutes. The final project was 52 minutes. Then I fought with FD and I made it to 74 minutes. The only thing actually I want to make this Ramesh Shetty story. The rough cut was 3.5 minutes. So what I'm trying to say, actually for me, it's not the politics, it's about the film and the emotion was my first thing. So I want Ramesh Shetty, the connection, Ramesh Shetty to the people. So the last shot, everybody will look at only Ramesh Shetty. I want people to forget everything. Look at this man. He changed my life. No, look at him. With the rain, beautiful shot. We shot in the rainy season. So one of the first shot we shot years back with a decent, good camera. So we were in the water, like this much water, and we shot like this. So this is the shot I decided in the beginning. This film will end with the shot. Okay. So, and the last sequence which I put was the crying shot scene that I kept outside for a quite long time. So I didn't want, I have personal issue with people crying in the film and all these things. So finally, I put the reason because when he said the point that actually we had lots of issues, the other person who's belong to the same community says that actually replies immediately saying that we are enough for that to sort it out. You don't need anything else. We will sort it out. That was the moment I decided, okay, we'll keep it that sentence because it's there. They know how to handle it and all those things. So this discussion is what happened. This happened for 3 days. 3 or 4 days after Vijisla's marriage. I know that they had a good company and all those things. So we shot completely for 4 days. And father and his these things happened for I think morning 10 o'clock started and it ended like 3 o'clock or something. So we were having discussion. So I never prompt anything. I will give the situation. Then I know something will happen. So I will keep waiting. Me and camera will keep waiting. So they will discuss one after one after. So I won't do anything because so that's the beauty of documentary for me. I'm not repeating anything. I'm just capturing something new happening in front of me that never existed. So I'm not asking anything, something new which I don't know. I'm just waiting to happen. So that's why I have 700 hours of material which it's all new actually, something good. So the editing decision, in the editing table, I decided to put into Ramesh Ertan through cast. These are 2 points. So as an editor was the big. As a director, if I think I'll make film a different way. But for me, editing is the passionate thing. So the entire thing. So the one film which I edited just before was Kapila. It's a national award winning film about Kudiyattam. Okay. So it's like I had only 100 cuts. So we were very beautifully shot and so opposite to the film. So the editor, I was pushing less cut and all those things. So here actually I was making more cut. So it's for me, see, more than issue, it's a filmmaking fun for me, and emotion. That's the thing actually. I want to feel everybody. He's my hero, so it should be, you all should feel for kind of, heroism for him. So, and frankly, I like these discussions about all those things. I think that I really thought that it will happen after the discussion in the stage. The after thing we will discuss about that. And so in the film, we'll get the full, the full on. We'll get the emotionally attached to these people, what they want to tell. So that was my thing, and the discussion which I arranged the setting, and I was waiting to get something out of that. So that was my filmmaking thing. So this is all came from this Linard's, preposition amends. And I asked him about how he captured all those things. He showed some rushes and all those things. So it all the filmmaking came from there. And for the last shot, this was my first decision. I want everybody. It's a beautiful shot where, and even the band, some of the band members had some issues with that. It's looked like you shot very romantic. Very the camera was not visible anywhere, but last shot everybody sees camera. So it's a kind of these things, and so I don't know. I like this shot and the screen shots. I got a criticism from all over the world for the screen shots because that's a very I was I was standing on this JCB machine. It's not crane, no, that polo. So I was like, then I was shooting that. So yeah, and the operator was the band member. So he was operating. I was telling you, so and I stabilized in the post. That's why it looks like crane. So all those things was like that. So and lots of international filmmaker also said should not keep that shot because it's. I don't know. It's so that was there. I don't know, Lenny, whether I answered your question, but this was my take on the film. So, yeah.
Thanks, Ranjit. That's you answered some of I think what Lenny asked, but you also gave us some very interesting anecdotes. So that's great. Thanks so much. I know Gaji wanted to make a couple of points. Let's go to Gaji.
Thanks, Lalit again. Fantastic, Ranjit. I think you got the emotions right, and I got into what Ramesh was saying, and others were also pointing it out. I think there is a clear interrogation of caste categories, and they are all pregnant with many ideas. They are looking for they use solution. They use words like philosophy. They use words like knowledge systems. They use multiple folk instruments are there. They are dying. Ramesh at one point says more than 200 instruments are there. It's the case in Tamil Nadu also. Many instruments are marginalized. And I think so they are, on the one hand, it's very clear they are rejecting, interrogating Brahminical ideas, caste categories. But I think they are also struggling to get out of it and then try to fight themselves. Very powerful image from Ramesh is him using the word black, you see. So it's very powerful. So that means he's connecting many things, not just local as well as global. I think it's broad. So each one of them that way, I think is very powerful. They're going through this. In a way, Ranjit, I think you should, given the footages you have, you can really think about other parts as well. As the band evolves with lyrics and gender component and so on, I think you may have, and then each one of them, Vijesh and many others also, have things to say. Something like, Lalit student Maya minus the Castless Collective that Maya said today, I spoke to her, she said she also knows you, Ranjit. So she has brought in multiple voices in the film, and especially when when the lady, the sister band member speaks, she speaks very boldly, and how she is central, and the band also lyrically they are changing. They are talking about menstruation, and they participated, and they are questioning. They are questioning the caste problem, even though, and the questioning the state and all that. Arivu, all of that. Now here comes. I want Vijesh or other band members to speak on this. Is there a possibility of you changing the lyrics? Ranjit, probably you could also help translating. Is there a possibility of you changing the lyrics? I know you talk about your suffering, untouchability, all that. Are you making a transition into talking about how you are casteless, how you are anti-caste, how there has to be a larger Malayali community should come together against caste, against Brahminism, against Brahmin male power. That's one. And also, how else are you talking about your own identity, a positive identity, positive memory, your knowledge, your creativity, your food system, things like pothugari. We all eat, right, pothugari, and so do you bring in these elements into your lyrics? And also, is there a chance for our sisters to be part of the your band? Are you making that move? Please go ahead. Maybe I'll finish with this point. Maybe I don't want to get back. Maybe others have to have the chances to speak. I invited Maya also to be part of this program. Hopefully she is there. And secondly, I want to introduce a very important brother called Sajan Mani. He's based in Berlin. He is from our own Kerala and Tiruchur, I think. He's come from a very tough background like us. And so he's based in Berlin, and he's a great performance artist, Sajan Mani. Ranjit, you could also tie up and then see whether anything could be done. So Sajan and Mani and me, we are thinking about how to get Karinthalakkoottam over to Germany. So Vijay, please. So we will be working. So you are going to come. Casteless Collective is going to come to Germany in a year or so. So you might also join. We were planning for an annual music festival of the native people of India, casteless and a caste. So you are going to work. It's in the making. So I want to let you know this. So we are all together in it. Thank you. I stop here.
Great.
I'll
If you want to translate
speak
also,
for.
yeah.
No, actually, what happened with the Karinthalakkoottam and the difference between Karinthalakkoottam and the other hundreds of folk bands in Kerala was Karinthalakkoottam was performing the pure folk. Okay, they don't change the lyrics, they don't change other instruments. All other bands put classical, the Western instruments to give more energy and all those things, but Karinthalakkoottam was known for no compromise, nothing, and all those things. But things started changing when these youngsters started writing their own songs. They were just imitating. They were repeating the lyrics and the music. But now Vijay and all those people actually now started using the music, folk music, into the other songs, and they are actually, so that transformation here, they are very moved by the Tamil music movement, and because we know it, we are talking every day. That's why So I can see the change from Vijay and all, from this romanticization of the folk songs and to the anti-caste movement, how to use the song and all. Because recently we were talking about one song which they want to visualize and all. So the discussion was like that. Why we want to show the pathetic situation more? We want to show the happy faces and succeed people now. We want to show that kind of faces. That was, remember Vijesh? I want to last some. So that change is there actually very much. I know personally that rappers and collective, that other things actually very much influence, and lots of, not all Karinthalakkoottam. There are, see, now I won't dare to make this kind of film. If I want to make this film in this era, I don't want to make, because I'm not the person to make film. That time it was different situation. I was very close, and also I should have taken the other perspective of the band because it was different. Now, the culturally, politically, especially singing situation is very vibrant. So the change, what is talking, it's already happened with Karinthalakkoottam, and they are actually writing their own songs and very political songs they are writing. Actually. So they are actually making independent music with the folk and all. So Vijay Shandil add ചെയ്യാനുണ്ടോ?
Yeah.
ഒരു കാര്യം കൂടി പറയാം. സാർ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ ഈ പറയാ പുലയ എന്നുള്ള കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞല്ലോ, പറയാ പുലയ കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി എന്നുള്ളത് പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് എന്ത് വീണ്ടും വീണ്ടും പറഞ്ഞതുകൊണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ നമ്മളൊരു കാര്യം, നമ്മള് വി ആർ നോട്ട് ദളിത് ആക്ടിവിസ്റ്റ്, വി ആർ ഓൺലി ഹ്യൂമൻ ബീങ്സ്, വി ആർ ഓൺലി ആർട്ടിസ്റ്റ് ഹ്യൂമൻ ബീങ്സ്. ആദ്യഘട്ടത്തില് നമുക്കൊരു ഷെയിം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഷെയിം പറയുന്നുള്ളു പറയാനും പുലയെന്നുള്ളു പറയാനും ഒക്കെ നമുക്കൊരു ഷെയിം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. പക്ഷെ now കരിന്തലക്കൂട്ടത്തിന് വന്നതിന് ശേഷം after joining കരിന്തലക്കൂട്ടം ജാതി പറയാന്ന് പറയാൻ പുലയെന്ന് പറയാൻ പറയുന്ന പാട്ട് പാടാൻ മ്യൂസിക് ഉപയോഗിക്കാൻ. ഈവൻ ഇഫ് ഐ എം എ ടീച്ചർ now I also sing folk songs in my school for the students. ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല, നാണക്കേടുന്നില്ല. അത് പാടിയാലും പാടിയില്ലെങ്കിലും we are singing and not singing. കാസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ ജാതി ഇവിടെ ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ ജാതി എന്നുള്ളത് പെട്ടെന്ന് അങ്ങനെ പൊടിച്ചു മാറ്റാൻ പറ്റാവുന്ന കാര്യമില്ല, നമ്മളെ കൊണ്ട് പറ്റുമെന്ന് അറിയില്ല. പക്ഷെ ഇപ്പോ രമ്യത്തിനെ പോലുള്ള ആളുകൾ, രമ്യത്തിന് നല്ല പാട്ട് എഴുതുന്ന വ്യക്തിയാണ്. നമ്മളിപ്പോ പുതിയ പാട്ടുകൾ രഞ്ജിത്ത് പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ ട്രാൻസ്ഫോർമേഷൻ സ്റ്റേജിലാണ്. പുതിയ കാലഘട്ടത്തിലേക്ക് നമ്മൾ ഇവിടെ എന്ത് അനുഭവിക്കുന്നു എന്നുള്ളത് സാധാരണയായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ ശ്രമിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അതിൽ ട്രാൻസിൻ സ്റ്റേജിലാണ് ഇപ്പോ തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും. Okay.
So I think everyone got the emotion of
going
it.
to just a sec. Lenny, we'll come to you. I just quickly wanted to say that we are going
to translate. That's all.
Cool. No. I'm coming to you. I just wanted to say that we are going to have a Q&A starting soon. But Lenny, please, let's hear you. You were translating, yes.
Yeah, I mean, one of the major things that they intervened was this is a transition. They're particularly responding to Gaji's question about the community name, the Paraya and the Pulaya, as a framework to actually assert, an identity in the songs. So, and to which Vijay basically told that it was an initial condition of shame, and caste was there even if they sing or not. And to take on that, they had to actually first contest that as singing the songs of the Parayas and Pulayas, as identifying themselves as that initially. But now I think they're also in a transition phase where they're actually figuring out new ways of writing, and performing, this condition towards a casteless future. I think that's a very positive note, Jesh told. Yeah.
Okay, that's it. That's it.
Muted. Lalit, muted. Lalit, you're muted.
I'm so sorry. This has happened a couple of times. So I just wanted to say that what I was doing was just thanking everybody for this discussion. We are going to open the discussion out to the audience now. If there are any questions, I know we've got a couple. I mean, Aju John asks, and this is actually a very interesting question about your travel to Malaysia and the performance there. And the question is, did the band feel there was some dilution of their radical or political message while trying to reach a wider audience? You're reaching an international audience, you're reaching a wider audience. Did you feel that the message was trying to get diluted? Or getting, and can the experts also comment on similar dilemmas facing other anti-caste artists? So perhaps, because the whole casteless collective also sort of came up, so maybe both of you could also talk about similar dilemmas facing other anti-caste artists. But the first question first, let's ask Vijesh about what was it like being in Malaysia and performing there, and did you feel your songs were received somewhat differently? If you could just tell us. Yeah.
Yeah. മലേഷ്യൻ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നമുക്ക് വല്ലാത്തൊരു നമ്മ കരിന്തലക്കൂട്ടം എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു സാധാരണ ഫോക്ക് ബാൻഡ്, വളരെ സാധാരണക്കാരായിട്ടുള്ള വളരെ ഓർഡിനറി പീപ്പിൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആളുകൾ ഉള്ള ഒരു സംഘം നമ്മൾ മലേഷ്യ പോലുള്ള ഒരു മ്യൂസിക് ഫെസ്റ്റിവലിലേക്ക് പങ്കെടുക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് നമ്മൾക്ക് ഒരു എക്സൈറ്റ്മെന്റ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. നമ്മൾ ആദ്യമായിട്ടാണ് ഇത്തരം ബാൻഡുകളുടെ ഫെസ്റ്റിവൽ കാണുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ അതിന്റെ ഒരു തുടക്കക്കാരൻ എന്ന രീതിയിൽ, ബിഗിനേഴ്സ് എന്ന രീതിയിൽ നമുക്ക് കുറച്ചൊക്കെ ചില പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. പക്ഷെ നമ്മൾ അത് ആ ഒരു എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് നമ്മൾ ചെയ്തത് എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ, നമ്മൾ ഇപ്പോൾ ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത് പാട്ടുകളും ഈ മ്യൂസിക്, കേരളത്തിലെ നമ്മുടെ നാടോടി സംഗീത പാരമ്പര്യം, അതിന്റെ ഇൻസ്ട്രുമെന്റ്സ് അതുപയോഗിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് പുതിയ പാട്ടുകൾ അതേ രീതിയിൽ തന്നെ നമ്മൾ പരമാവധി എത്തിക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. അപ്പൊ ആ ഒരു എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് എന്നുള്ളത് നമുക്ക് ഒരുപാട് പഠിക്കാനായിട്ട് അവസരം തന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. മലേഷ്യൻ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് എന്നുള്ളത് നമുക്ക് ജീവിതത്തിൽ നമ്മുടെ മ്യൂസിക് ബാൻഡ് എന്ന രീതിയിലും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് പെർഫോമൻസ് എന്ന രീതിയിലും ഒക്കെ ഏത് തരത്തിൽ വേണം എന്നൊക്കെയുള്ള തരത്തിലൊക്കെയുള്ള ഒരു പുതിയ കണ്ണു തുറക്കാനായിട്ടൊക്കെയുള്ള സാധ്യത തന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്.
Yeah, actually, Karinthalakkoottam was a very small native band which largely performed within, within Kerala, particularly Thrissur, if you say so, and that was a larger reach that they had, and it was the first time in 2014 that the band was actually called towards a world stage, and not only outside India, but also a stage where they were interacting with other global bands. Like it's a stage where other 25 other groups had come and performed, and it was a very interesting experience for them as a first of a kind, where they had to perform outside, and performing it for the first time had its own problems. And they're not telling what the problem is. They had very distinct kind of problems, but to them that experience gave them a lot of experience to reach back and think back at their own art form. What do they do with their, with songs, with reaching out to, to different kind of audience and so on and so forth. It's that kind of a very interesting experience that they had with the Malaysian experience, and as such, and you can add on, Vijesh, at China.
രണ്ട് കാര്യങ്ങളാണ് ഉള്ളത്. ഒന്ന്, രഞ്ജിത്ത് അവിടെ എത്തിച്ചേർന്നതാണ്. അത് ഭയങ്കര രസകരമായിട്ടൊരു കാര്യമായിരുന്നു. രഞ്ജിത്തിനുള്ള ടിക്കറ്റ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല. രഞ്ജിത്ത് പേഴ്സണൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യത്തിൽ എന്തൊക്കെയോ സംഗതികൾ ഒപ്പിച്ചിട്ടാണ് മലേഷ്യയിൽ വേറൊരു ഫ്ലൈറ്റിന് അവിടെ എത്തിച്ചേർന്നത്. ഒരുപാട് കഷ്ടത അനുഭവിച്ചിട്ട് അവിടെ എത്തിച്ചേർന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ അതൊരു മറക്കാനാവാത്തൊരു കാര്യമാണ്. നമ്മുടെ അടുത്തേക്ക് അവൻ എത്തിച്ചേർന്നു. ഈ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ ലോകത്ത് തന്നെ ഏറ്റവും ബെസ്റ്റ് 20 ഫെസ്റ്റിവലുകളിൽ ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട ഒരു ഫെസ്റ്റിവലാണ് റെയിൻ ഫോറസ്റ്റ്. അപ്പോ കൗശി ദത്ത എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ സാറാണ്, കൊൽക്കത്തയിലെ ആളാണ് നമ്മളെ അവിടെ അറേഞ്ച് ചെയ്തത്. അപ്പോൾ രഞ്ജിത്തിന് അവിടെ ടിക്കറ്റ് കിട്ടിയിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല. നമ്മൾ തന്നെ 7 പേരാ പോയത്. അപ്പോൾ അത് അവിടെ എത്തിച്ചേർന്നതും അതിന്റെ തുടർന്നുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളും രഞ്ജിത്ത് വളരെയധികം വേറെ തരത്തിലേക്ക് നമ്മൾ ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അവിടുത്തെ പെർഫോമൻസിനും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതൊക്കെ ഷൂട്ട് ചെയ്യാനൊക്കെ ഒരുപാട് കഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട് രഞ്ജിത്ത് അവിടെ തരാനായിട്ട്. അപ്പോ അതൊരു കാര്യം ആഡ് ചെയ്യാനാണ് നമ്മൾ വിചാരിച്ചത്. പിന്നെ
should I translate or the second point you want to add?
You should, Lenny.
Yeah. Okay. So the first, there were two prominent problems that they had when they reached Malaysia. The first thing is the issue of Ranjit. I mean, we watched the film that Ranjit shot the thing, but the fact that Ranjit being there itself was a huge issue, was a huge experience, because Ranjit was never there in the plan of the troupe. Only the 7 members of the troupe were called to perform in Rainforest. So Ranjit took his own, journey in a separate flight and reaching there, becoming part of the group, and then how that kind of influenced them in performing, in capturing the events and so on and so forth. So in the original plan, Ranjit was not there in the band, and Ranjit had its own journey to reach with them and record, and that actually added dimensions in their experiences. While Ranjit went through a lot of problems, and the band also went through a lot of problems, and how they kept together in helping each other in Malaysia. So there are very gruesome details that they have, bad experiences, but it was a very interesting thing because I think I forget the name, Rajat Tata, the organizer from Kolkata, who invited them, and that was a very interesting experience because it was one of the top 20 global grassroots band performances which were brought together across the world in such a stage, right? So yeah, that's the first problem I think that they wanted to. Yes, the second
അവിടെ
problem.
ഓക്കെ അവിടെ ഒരു കാര്യം ഉണ്ടായത് അവിടെ പങ്കെടുത്ത 20 ബാൻഡുകളും 20 ബാൻഡുകളും അതിലൊക്കെ കരിന്തലക്കൂട്ടത്തിന്റെ ബാൻഡ് ഒഴിച്ച് ബാക്കി എല്ലാവരും 24 hours മ്യൂസിഷ്യൻസ് ആയിരുന്നു. 24 hours മ്യൂസിഷ്യൻസാ. പക്ഷെ നമ്മളെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് നമ്മളെല്ലാവരും ജോലിയുള്ള ആളുകൾ, മറ്റു പാർട്ട് ടൈം ആയിട്ട് മറ്റു ജോബ് കൊണ്ടുനടന്ന് അതിനിടയിൽ കൂടെ നമ്മൾ മ്യൂസിക് ചെയ്യുന്ന ആളുകളാണ്. അത് നമ്മൾ വണ്ടറടിച്ചു പോയി. നമുക്ക് അതിന്റെ ഒരു സ്ലോ ഉണ്ട്, നമുക്ക് അതിന്റെ ഒരു സ്ലോനെസ് ഉണ്ട്. നമുക്ക് 24 hours മ്യൂസിഷ്യൻസ് ആയിട്ട് നിൽക്കാനായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു പ്രാക്ടിക്കബിലിറ്റി കുറവിന്റെ ഒരു പ്രശ്നമുണ്ട് ഇപ്പൊ. അതാണ് നമ്മൾ ഈ പറയുന്ന പോലെ ഒരു അത്രയും ഫാസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് പോവാത്തതിന്റെ ഒരു കാരണം. നമ്മുടെ ജീവിതത്തിന്റെ ഒരു കാര്യം കൂടി ഉണ്ട്. നമ്മളിപ്പോ 24 hours മ്യൂസിഷ്യൻസ് എന്ന രീതിയിൽ നിൽക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് ഈ പാട്ടും ഈ കൊട്ടും ആയിട്ട് ബാൻഡ് എന്ന രീതിയിൽ നിൽക്കാനായിട്ട് അത്രയും ഒരു കാപ്പബിലിറ്റി ഇപ്പോഴും ആ ഒരു പ്രശ്നമുണ്ട്. അതാണ് ഇപ്പോ അനുഭവിക്കുന്ന ഒരു വിഷയം.
Okay, the second one is more to do. The second issue was also more to do with the profession of the musician. In that particular event in Malaysia, most of the other bands, almost 20 other bands with which they performed, were all professional musicians who play music for 24 hours, whereas they want to identify themselves as amateur musicians because everyone's their own bread, the breadwinning is some other job. Everyone has other jobs to do, and music is a space where they collectively come to express themselves, and that was the identity to which they were brought in and set up with other 20 professional troops. And that kind of an issue still continues. That's what they say, them not being 24-hour musicians, mainly because life is at stake and everyone had to earn their livelihood by working in some other job, and that's what the relationship between being amateur musicians who are not professionally 24-hour into music, and that has a longish issue in also treating the band in performing in a certain kind of a political avatar of a kind that people demand it.
I had to add one more point. It's actually Gaji sir asked that why I didn't show the notes of this other issues and all. See, I will tell you two experiences of mine while shooting. One is actually while they were performing in Kolkata, they put in a big hall. Okay, so I could have got a very nice sequence there. Then I packed my camera and I was shouting at the people. I took them to my institute and I took them. So they did not have food and everything. So I packed my camera and I went to the railway station buying food and all those things. So lots of this quote unquote sequences, actually I won't able to. Even Malaysia, there was some crisis happened. I packed my camera. I was helping them. There was only 7 people. They used to perform with 20 people. So I was one among them. So I gave camera to someone else and I was helping them. So it's not, I can't do that. When they are hungry and I'm shooting. Okay, they are hungry. So I have to get food for them. That's my job. Film is not, it's a second thing. So these kind of issues whenever happen, whenever I felt that these guys are behaving very badly or exploiting, I stopped the camera. I was shouting at them. It's not shooting for me. It's not documenting. It's not important for me. I was shouting why they are not giving food at the same bench. Still, last year we went to a place. They are served biryanis in the backstage, and there is a buffet going on in the Meridian. In the Cochin. So they got separate biryanis from somewhere and served out other place, and all the other people were having the buffet and all.
No, I want to pick up on this. This is actually quite a shocking revelation. That are you saying this happened in Malaysia?
Malaysia was a different case actually. No, this one in Kerala.
Okay,
this was in Kerala happened. Malaysia, what happened actually, the kind of a promise they got and what they actually got. Actually, what was the thing actually? There was a high expectation that after this performance they are going to perform all over the world, and kind of the attitude. I shot that and I shown the film. They are actually the person who they have a different take on him, but I have a different take on the Kaushik Datta. No? So they are actually he is behaving like he's the owner of this band and everything actually. So they're very bad attitude towards them actually. So he behaved like their property, So I can't do that. So we had a huge fight. So the only Emaciated, with me. So all these people thought that actually I'm spoiling their chance of getting other space and all. So whenever he tried to misbehave with them, or when they tried to show some power, then I openly shouted at him because and he never wanted me to come to the Malaysia for shooting. I don't know. He felt some threat or something. But I
Can
was
I
my
make a
own.
point?
Yeah.
That's a very. I wanted to just make a comment about that scene. I don't know who the entrepreneur is, Rajat someone, right? But I was struck, and I don't know, Ranjit, if you picked up on it. I was struck by the instance. See, obviously the camera is out there, Ranjit is filming, and he decides he wants to show off and give some advice to the band. But the scene you show is very interesting because he actually brings up the instance of Dronacharya and Arjuna. And that's an upper caste instance, and he's preaching to them and saying, be like Arjuna. I was just struck by the irony, He's not talking about Eklavya, right? So I don't know if you did that consciously, you kind of left it in the film, but I was just struck.
Yeah, I kept it like that. It's not an ancient thing. It still happens in India, abroad, everywhere. That's a point which I want to make. Because for them it was a hope and everything, because this guy is going to give lots of shows and all. But I see lots of people from Kolkata or whatever the places, So like I shot like very silently and everything, like I know that he was showing off only, but outside the camera also he was more or less the same.
Really?
But
Could you
Ramesh
say
was very sensitive.
more about the performances in Kerala, where it seems that the band goes and they perform, but then they are segregated and they are made to. Isn't that the instance you were giving up, talking about rather?
Yeah, it happens in two different ways actually. One is the performer while performing the tumbles. Still, see, I'm coming from Nair community, but I look like them. So the moment the people know that I'm from Nair community, they will get shocked. Okay, why you are with these people? I had many instances like so even though this is a very slight thing, very I don't know how to tell this actually. We always discuss all those things actually. So in the temple, this happens actually. We can see that how they serve food, the kind of the kind of things actually, because for them little money boost, everything will be right. So then they will. This is not because then they start fighting for the money and all those things. So these cliche things, everybody will started doing with them. But the demonstration and all, fought like anything. They need money. They won't perform for less money and all those things. So and that's why I kept this feeling, because this caste discrimination there actually is very intouchable and small. It's very hard to see actually. We have to look very closely. This is what I'm saying, that actually this incident happened in Cochin 2 years back or what, or 1 year back. Vijay, they had a performance in Le Meridian Hotel in Cochin, Kerala. So after the performance, the performance is happening, buffet is happening, everything. So I also was there. I went there. So then after the performance, they took them to a when a hall. It's not a hall also, some place where they parcel biryani from somewhere else. Everybody else got the food from there, parcel biryani from there, and distributed them. So this is not, they won't do with the other Avial band or any other band. They will do only with Karinthalakkoottam band. So that still happening that actually. That's why it doesn't make me so feel angry and sad. So, but I don't know, like
this undercuts this whole idea of in Kerala caste has a different kind of quality, and it's so much there. It's just more subtle, maybe.
yeah. Very cruel, like it's very subtle, but yeah. Few days back, I went to Vijishlan's home. So this homie again. This is actually I was asking for Vijish Lal. I just missed the way. So Vijish Lal has a different identities now. He's a government teacher and lots of things. But Paraya colony, that is you go this way and that way. So straight go to that way. And I told him also, So he is a popular singer. He has lots of identities are there. But they straight go to that Paraya, this community, they will directly say to that. So they will whisper. They won't talk loudly. They will whisper.
അതെ അതെ കാസ്റ്റ് എന്നുള്ളത് നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞില്ലെങ്കിലും നമ്മുടെ സർട്ടിഫിക്കറ്റിലല്ലോ കാസ്റ്റ്. കാസ്റ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് ഇൻ ദ സർട്ടിഫിക്കറ്റ്.
Right. We've got a few. Sorry. You were picking up on the conversation here, please.
No, me. No, I'm like, oh no, it's done. It's okay. It's like, no, what I was trying to say that actually, so this Malaysian performance, what I felt I was trying to say them that actually don't these people, because for them it's the first time, for me also first time, but whatever I saw there actually it's a trap for the one time performance and you are not getting any other performance. So for the cheap money, because they finally end up 80,000 or something, in debt. 60,000, no, Vijisha?
Okay.
Yeah, some money. So it's not huge money or anything, because they bought new clothes, new uniform, bought lots of things and all. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, we've got a couple of questions again from the audience, so I'm just going to ask this. This is maybe Ranjit can answer. I too, Floshy saying, I too was interested in the shots that were taken in Malaysia during the festival. How can performance become true cooperation on eye level and not be a feel-good event for white folks? So, and also going on to say that I am asking this because there seemed to be a lot of focus on white people and the way it was cut. That scene was cut, how they were enjoying the program, getting their faces painted, so on. So it's both about the filming, I think, but why did you choose, I guess, to take those particular shots? Focus on this, or was it all?
See, this is a very this song has a history, particular politics. It goes to something else. For them, it's a music to dance after a couple of drinks. No, it's the enjoyment. So it's deeply derooted and put somewhere else. It's just that. So I want to see this contrast. Actually, for them, what folk music, what India, what their history, nothing. It's just enjoyment. It happens here also in temple festivals and all. This is just performance music. But when we see the film, actually, we didn't put like that. They give their life to that. It got a story. It's got a culture. It's things. But in the international audience, for them, it's just any music. It's a tempo. It's not the lyrics. The lyrics got meanings but there is nothing connection with the lyrics to them. They find the beats, they will dance. And the other thing that I cheated, because I was shooting and I was with them, so all the dancing I cheated with other dances and all those things. But I shot a little bit with sync with Tamil. But there was actually the Tamil population was very strong there actually. This Kuala Lumpur. So they were big fan of them actually. So everybody came for the performance, and they became very hit after the performance. So everybody was asking for the performance, because the performance was first day. So it was first experience. So they didn't have the experience to how to perform for this audience. So it didn't work well, on the beginning. But from the second day, they did small performance workshops and also it became huge hit there actually. Even when we went back to Kuala Lumpur, there were people recognizing them. And they were taking selfies and all. The place where we stayed, those lady was also very happy that they came to the place. So it gets a different kind of exposure. So my shots, the dancing without knowing any history, anything, it's just. And see, the way I connected also, after the tear, after all the big, tragic, that whole the heavy scenes I'm cutting into this. So that contrast I want to put together. So that was my plan.
Floshy says, thank you for giving these insights. Much appreciated. Okay, great. Thanks very much. As final words, I just really wanted to say that, Ranjit, I really was, you talk about the effective, wanting to make a documentary that's emotional and work with emotions. And personally, when I watched this film, I was actually very moved with some of the scenes and also the sort of insights you give us, some very intimate scenes. Definitely some of the scenes that, say, Lenny showed. The second one in particular, that was a scene that really moved me. But there are also so many scenes that I can think about, scenes of great insight also, where I remember the scene with the barber, and he talks about his own wedding and getting and the marrying into an upper caste family, and that amazing scene that you have. There's so much of this throughout just congrats. And I just want to say that I've seen and I understand where that comes from. There's a series of films on caste issues, and because it's so horrific and the discrimination is so horrific, a lot of the filmmakers, I think, very naturally tend to just stop at the stories of discrimination. So much so that, and I remember talking to my friend Nicola, who you're going to see as a discussant in 2 weeks' time. He's made a wonderful film called Sangharsh, by the way, which you must see. But it's just like you don't get to see the inner world of a Dalit family, because it's almost like everything you see is a story of distress, or it's just a statement, and that's on display. But this film goes beyond that, as I know Sangharsh does. Do see Nicola's film if you get a chance to. Yeah, but thank you so much. And thank you so much to Karinthalakkoottam and we really for just being there and the wonderful, wonderful music. And I thought, Lenny, you just also it's so much to talk about. Actually, you brought up this very interesting point about subversion through sound. How like this whole classical music tradition is sort of being subverted. I think you called it rhythmic resistance. So, and Gaji also, thank you so much for bringing up the issues of for instance, the gender issue also, and there are a lot of things to actually work through here. But thank you so much. I wanted to just leave it with Lenny and Gaji and Ranjit for final comments, and then I just thought we could actually end with a performance from the band. So, Lenny, Gaji, Ranjit, would you just like to add some final comments?
Thank you so
Ranjit, go ahead. Ranjit, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you so much, because it's been years now. I made this film like but still, it's shown and I discuss so seriously. I'm so happy, like I'm moved. This is the only one film which I edited and directed. This one actually I can see it for years. Actually I won't get troubled. Like all other films, I'll get I could have made better little bit. But this film actually, for me, it's perfect for me. But it's a different. So I'm so thankful to that actually there's two brilliant people. Actually this the points actually it's very good points. When I make next film, it will be in my mind and I'll be more conscious about these things. As that's the only thing actually can do. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'm like very moved by the discussions and all those things. So Lalit, thank you so much, and Vijisha and all those things. I'm thankful to them also. They joined. So thank you so much.
Lenny, please go ahead, and then I'll follow.
Yeah. Thanks, Lalit, and thanks, Ranjit, Karinthalakkoottam. It was for me. It was a wonderful, Gaji sir. It was a wonderful time to be with great discussion, great discussants, and also performers. So it was after a long time I met them separately. I met Semis people separately, but it's a wonderful space for having this time. But I was also very thankful to for Semis and Crossings to bring this film as a point of intervention and discussion, because it was on a figure, and I see Ambedkar's picture in Vijesh Lal's screen, but also the figure here is also figures like Ramesh, and where is Ramesh? How is he? Is he He's there everywhere in the film. He's absent in our frame today, right? But
He was in the
course,
shopping actually. Like he went for shopping, so he couldn't come.
right. I hope he's well and he's remembered. And I think figures like this and then entering into the screen space of Indian documentary is the need of the hour. And I think it's a wonderful move that Ranjit starts off with a great wonderful moment which will seep in slowly into larger popular filmmaking and making of stories that matter in this subcontinent. I think that's a very good indication of film practice in the subcontinent. Apart from that, I think one of the things I thought was the way in which sound as a mode of a way of living amongst communities of resistance is also some work I think we have to do in the region, in South Asian region. I think as a way in which how it contests other ways of thinking about knowledge, indigenous knowledge, about deep pasts. Gaji sir's work, it's working on deep resistance, deep pasts that we go into a different kind of sensorium. I think that aspect of which is covered and addressed here with Ranjit's important documentary. So I with these two comments, I think thanks for this wonderful opportunity, Lalit, and this is a great initiative from Simis. Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Lalit, I want to second what Lenny just said. It's really, I think you found you've had your niche already at CMS. Now I think this is fantastic achievement on your part.
I should become a festival programmer now. Not stuff. No, but thank you.
No, seriously. I mean, this is a difficult time. We have the next wave in Germany. In spite of all that, I think you're very professionally organizing this film festival, online film festival. Serious films, serious issues are being discussed, and you are bringing in people with knowledge who have worked on these themes. So it's a fantastic achievement on your part, Lalit.
I think that's the point. Thank you so much, Gaji. Thank you, Lenny. But I think that's the point. I think it's great. It's because the films are so wonderful and actually making such wonderful discussants who sort of really bring out, just tease out these different elements, and that makes for, I think, very interesting viewing. I mean, just very happy with the way things are going, and very, very thrilled that our audience is there who's watching. Right. And I'm going to just end with one quick announcement for next week's screening, which is that we're very pleased to screen the award-winning film Moti Bagh next week on Monday, the 29th. It's a film directed by Nirmal Chandar, who will be in conversation with Nilita Vachani of NYU. And this, as I mentioned, is on Monday, the 29th of November. The screening discussion will start at, again, same time as happened today, 4 p.m. in Germany. That's 8:30 p.m. in India. And the film will be available for viewing from the 26th of November, from 2 p.m. here in Germany, 6:30 p.m. in India. So do watch. It's really a really wonderful film as well. And I just want to end by thanking everybody, Ranjit, Lenny, Gaji. Big thank you to Karinthalakkoottam, Vijishlal, and the whole band. Thank you so much. And I thought it would be just wonderful if we could end with you, if you could just, I know the audio has not been great, but we'd love to hear from you. So maybe you can just end with a final number of your choice. Thank you.
Yeah, we are not using rhythm. Okay, without using rhythm, you can sing. So audio will be.
Three distance it.
Okay. Finally. Okay. Thank you all for including Karinthalakkoottam in this discussion. Actually, it's Ranjit's space, but including Karinthalakkoottam is a great job. Thank you. And Rameshan is here with us, not in some other place. Okay. We are singing Kumara Gurudevan, Spogela Pachan song. A great Renaissance leader. Okay, thank you everyone. Pulayarellarum koodi cheramarayanenda pulayende pulamarumo ee Keralathil
ഇതിനൊരു ശുഭം വരുമോ? പുലയരെല്ലാരും കൂടി ചേരുവരായാലെന്താ? പുലയന്റെ പുലമാറുമോ? ഈ കേരളത്തിൽ ഇതിനൊരു ശുഭം വരുമോ? പറയരെല്ലാരും കൂടി സാമ്പവരായാലെന്താ? പറയന്റെ പഴി മാറുമോ? ഈ കേരളത്തിൽ ഇതിനൊരു ശുഭം വരുമോ? പറയരെല്ലാരും കൂടി സാമ്പവരായാലെന്താ? പറയന്റെ പഴി മാറുമോ? ഈ കേരളത്തിൽ ഇതിനൊരു ശുഭം വരുമോ? കുറവരെല്ലാരും കൂടി സിദ്ധനാരായാലെന്താ? കുറവന്റെ കുറമാറുമോ? ഈ കേരളത്തിൽ ഇതിനൊരു ശുഭം വരുമോ? കുറവരെല്ലാരും കൂടി സിദ്ധനാരായാലെന്താ? കുറവന്റെ കുറമാറുമോ? ഈ കേരളത്തിൽ ഇതിനൊരു ശുഭം വരുമോ? 1000-ലധിക വർഷം അടിമയിൽപ്പെട്ട നമ്മൾ അടിമ മറപ്പാതാകുമോ? ഈ കര തന്നിൽ അടിമ മറപ്പാതാകുമോ? 1000-ലധിക വർഷം അടിമയിൽപ്പെട്ട നമ്മൾ അടിമ മറപ്പാതാകുമോ? ഈ കരത്തിൽ അടിമ മറപ്പാതാകുമോ? കാളയെ വിൽക്കും പോലെ നമ്മുടെ പിതാക്കളെ വിറ്റവൾ വില വാങ്ങിയതും മറപ്പതല്ല അടിമ മറപ്പാതാകുമോ? കാളയെ വിൽക്കും പോലെ നമ്മുടെ പിതാക്കളെ വിറ്റവർ വില വാങ്ങിയതും മറപ്പതല്ല അടിമ മറപ്പാതാകുമോ? പുലയരെല്ലാരും കൂടി ചേരവരായാലെന്താ? പുലയന്റെ പുലമാറുമോ? ഈ കേരളത്തിൽ ഇതിനൊരു ശുഭം വരുമോ? പുലയരെല്ലാരും കൂടി ചേരവരായാലെന്താ? പുലയന്റെ പുലമാറുമോ? ഈ കേരളത്തിൽ ഇതിനൊരു ശുഭം വരുമോ? ഇതിനൊരു ശുഭം വരുമോ? Thank you.
It was wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay. Bye, everybody. Bye. Hopefully, see you all next week. Yes?
Yeah. Bye. Thank you again. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. A big thank you. Bye-bye.